Welcome back to Smash here at VESL. Alongside the one, the only Captain at Soka, I am Stu, the announcer, rocking out with you. We saw some fantastic group play from some of the best Smash that North Carolina high school level has to offer, and now we are getting into the meat of the bracket. And Captain A, I gotta say, Skip, this was one of the most intense competitions that I've seen for a long time for very different reasons, because you had a varying level of quality, certainly a lot more good than not so much, but you also now have all that good concentrated into the top cut, which we get to cast for the people. Can't really ask for much more than that.
Absolutely not. I mean, I've been hit with such great smash. I just hit the Millie Rock on any block. I don't even know why, but it was just a
I
feeling
saw
that I
that, bro.
got.
That was kind of fly.
I have no idea. You know, that's just the type of mood that this Smash league so far has got me in. I mean, it's been getting me in my groove. I've been feeling it. We've had so many great matches, especially yesterday. I mean, don't get me wrong, day one was great, but day two, my goodness, we had so many great matches. And you know, going towards even from like the middle towards the end, oh my goodness, it just makes me really hyped for today, because the closer and the further along we get into the bracket, the better these games are going to be.
Exactly. I mean, what we've been able to see thus far, probably indicative of what's to come, because we do have a lot of these kids. Again, maybe this is their first taste of competition. Maybe they've entered a few locals once or twice, but either way, they're out here representing their schools, trying to bring glory unto them. And while we're doing that, just trying to foster a neat little competitive environment for that kids can feel safe in, that kids can feel supported in, and that they can go out, show their stuff. So, having all of that come together, and of course having VESL be the platform to do that in conjunction with the Panthers and Charlotte FC, it gives a little bit more legitimacy than you would have if you were just to maybe set up the monitor in the classroom and have it out with your buddies.
Yeah, again, it's a completely different atmosphere, especially when the camera's on you. I cannot stress enough how much of a difference it makes when you're in competition between, just you playing in an online tournament and then knowing you're being casted, knowing that you're being streamed, noticing that you have eyes on you. It definitely adds a layer of nerves. It adds a little bit more pressure. And some players, it does affect them. And at the end of the day, you're either going to go numb on the thumbs or you're going to go sick on the sticks when you have those eyes on you. But again, once you start getting your game or two in, you get used to it, it no longer becomes a factor. So again, we might see a player who might not show out in game number one, but they'll show out in game number two. So again, the further we get along in the bracket, not only are the matches going to get better, but also the players are going to get more acclimated to a competitive setting.
Exactly. It's pressure that creates diamonds, right? So we're seeing a few diamonds being shaped over time, but which one is going to shine the brightest in this bracket? That is the question. We have Charlotte being contended before us, I believe, as we are going to get that lobby ready, going to have it going through a single lobby and starting out pretty shortly, as we're going to send it to game after we remake it. So just making sure that all the players are ready and prepped, good to go. It's and again, you're talking about mental preparation. You've competed in a few of these things. I'm no stranger to competition, but at least in the regular sporting world. But when you're talking about sitting down and having to explain, to your parents, hey, in this big Smash tournament, don't disturb me for a little bit, and then you have to deal with your opponent on top of that. Like, what do you enter this tournament? Like, what's your mentality like? How do you stay focused? How do you make sure that you're staying as sharp as you need to be in order to succeed in Smash?
Honestly, you just have to really take it one game at a time. That is the best way I can explain it. And I know that we're playing these series and, you're going to go into the best of threes and a lot of leagues and tournaments that even goes on to like best of fives into best of sevens, sometimes even to best of nines. So you're playing a lot of games in a single day, especially if you're winning. If you're on a hot streak and you're winning, like yesterday for what we were talking about with Who, I don't know if y'all remember who's a fantastic heavy player. They ended up having a doubleheader that day. They were the only player to have a doubleheader. So they had to play twice, and they won both of those games. So it's important when you're playing multiple games in a single day to literally take it one game at a time, one input at a time if you can. Again, calm yourself, control yourself, play it slow, take your time, have patience, make sure you're making the correct inputs, and try not to think too much. That, at least that's my problem when it comes to competitive play. I'm just constantly thinking too much. I'm thinking about the series. I'm thinking about, oh, if I go to the lower bracket, if I stay in the upper bracket. Take it slow. Take your time and just play the game. Play it one game at a time. Even if you lose, even if you go down a round. Who yesterday, they went down 2 rounds, but they still managed to pull it out of 2 games and get 2 wins. And we even thought they was about to get beat by Banjo and Kazooie. Do y'all remember that yesterday? This Bowser almost got handed up by a Banjo and Kazooie, but managed to reel himself in, take the game back, and then confirm the final stock on Banjo. So it's never too late. And even when you think you're in dire straits, just play your game. That is the thing I cannot stress enough. Take it one game at a time.
Exactly. I mean, a game of Smash is basically the most intense game of chess that you've ever played in your life. It's very quick, very frantic. You have to be thinking 5 moves ahead. And even though it is very execution dependent, don't get me wrong, especially when you're winning an advantage state, you have to maximize your combos. But at the same time, it never hurts to take things slowly sometimes, to be able to pump the brakes. That's how you get the top time on the course, is that you're not just always pressing the gas pedal, right? You need to know when to brake. You need to know when to shift gears. You need to know when to slow down. You need to know those strategic positions, especially on the track when you're making those turns. Positioning is imperative in Smash. I mean, you're going to be much more likely to win if you're holding court center of the stage, or even at the ledge where they can't touch you. No 2 characters epitomize that better than Sonic and Pit. And even though they occupy 2 different spaces on the tier list, we're going to see just how potent these 2 could possibly be, as Pumpkin Sai and Roblox God going to go at it in a best of 5 clip.
Watch, you know what, bro? I'm about to come out the gate swinging. Are you ready for this? I'm coming out of the gate swinging. I'm being reckless today. Today of all days, what possibly could be the championship day, need I mind you. And then you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it. Pit, lit, he got the kit, doesn't matter. Sonic in 3.
I mean, you could very well be right, and just based off of recent history, you would be certainly correct, as we have seen some fine examples of Sonic play throughout this game's life cycle. But when you're talking about individuals like Sonics or Wrath, and even before that, the forebears of Sonic play like Supergirl Kells and 6WX, you have a common theme there, and that is that they like to take things slow. Sonic is going to control the pace of the game because he is such a fast character. He can camp you. He can hit you with that homing attack. He can hit you with those confirms, solid up airs to tack on the damage, and certainly F smashes. That range, ridiculous to be able to confirm that KO. Roblox God, however, knowing that you are far from helpless as Pit, on a wing and a prayer, Roblox God is going to try to find a way through on the wings of an angel.
I mean, not to mention, I also got served up on Pit yesterday. I remember I was going up against the Pit, and you know, I didn't put respect in their name, and I got served up. But you know, again, I just wanted to start off today with a little extra spice. You know, let's get the content rolling early.
I got you, bro. You know what? And I respect that. However, oh my goodness, Roblox God, he might be building something special here at the expense of Pumpkin Sai, as we have a full stock lead now. Again, these confirms off of down tilt, usually something that you have to be fishing for, but it is a very potent offensive maneuver when you're able to get it. If you get that pop-up, able to confirm into those nairs, or certainly forward air if they're trying to drift away, excuse me, and also trying to tack on a little bit more with those arrows. You're not going to get a huge amount of damage, certainly a better edge guarding tool than it winds up being in neutral. But again, you're trying to dictate where they shouldn't go. And Pumpkin Sai right now playing into the hands perfectly, getting popped up by the down air, which is a legitimate combo starter on Pit. And just another thing for Pumpkin Sai to have to watch out for. And not nearly enough, as your prediction gets dashed to dust by Roblox God.
Hey, for the record, when I said Sonic in 3, I'm talking about in the series. All right, that's just game number
Oh,
one. Yeah, we're talking about the
hmm.
series. Best in 3 games is what I'm talking about. Sonic in 3. That's where I'm going with that. But regardless, again, I'm doing it.
Yeah. No, we got you, buddy. We got you. It's you're you can backpedal a little faster. It's all good. But what I will say, man. Yeah. So Captain, I believe that I think that even the stream is calling you out on your bull right now. So they might have said like, no, we're not buying that, bro. I'm sorry, we can't let you get away with that.
Oh, sure you
But
can.
I'll let you backpedal. Go ahead, go
I
ahead.
wasn't
You can do that. It's
backpedaling.
fine.
I'm telling you straight up, Sonic in 3. That's where I'm going with it. I'm going with Sonic in 3. Again, Pitt did me dirty yesterday, so I got to come at him again today. That's just what it is. I'm keeping up.
Gotcha. Okay, you know what? My fault. I misunderstood. So I will already cursed content out here between that and let's be real, Final Destination Battlefield form, little cursed, but it works out. It's plenty good of a destination as Pumpkin Side choosing triplats for a reason. Bold choice considering Pitt's capability to jump, but then again, if you're the Sonic, I don't think you're hurting either at the ability to be able to continue combos off of up air.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, again, Sonic is really good going vertically on a lot of their plays. And, again, if they were on Pokemon Stadium 2, it'd be a little bit easier for them to take Pit into the moon and, put them into the blast zone. But meanwhile, here we are on Final Destination. But again, a little bit better for Sonic here as they do have those platforms where, of course, in that first game, Sonic didn't have the platforms. It was just a flat surface. And now we're getting right back into it this time. Sonic doing a little bit better this time around. Looking pretty nice for Pumpkin Sea as they take the first stock.
I'm liking what I'm seeing thus far, hanging on at 84%. However, Dark Pit with a little bit of power in those blades, gonna keep him on edge with the dash attacks, sending him into the top corner. You're not going to get any of the KOs, but you're at the very least going to do enough to displace them and put them at disadvantage, as there is no DI, it looked like, on that smash attack across the stage. I think that could have been survivable had you jumped into the corner. However, Roblox God is not going to take any, will brook no discourse and certainly will not complain about the nature of the stock. They don't ask how, Skipper, they ask how many.
Yeah, and right now you see Sonic, they're going for a lot of those F smashes there. Unfortunately, they're not connecting, and they're constantly getting blocked by the Pit. But look, they are baiting out that F smash so that way they can break out the shield early and then try and dodge roll around it, which isn't a bad strat. But again, this Pit, they're just so good on their reaction time that they're able to counter a lot of those maneuvers that Sonic is putting out. So now you really have to wonder, what will Pumpkin Side do to try and come up with another avenue to find a way in? Because every time they zoom in or they go for that dash attack, Pit is already there with the counter.
Yeah, and again, catching them with these nairs, and it's going to be the forward air that winds up taking the KO. Mixing up a lot of these attacks, but showing the willingness to spot dodge in neutral as well, knowing that even though Sonic's offense is pretty good and generally risk-free, you're still having to move your body into the range of the swords in order to do it. So yeah, we got Splat Agent, Roblox God, however you may want to refer to him, gets back using that down B, go gadget, get me at a disadvantage, and Roblox God again building up something special as Pumpkin Sigh. Pumpkin C. We'll figure it out. Either way, it's one stock apiece. Roblox God could very well find himself on the receiving end of the L here.
You know what? They very well could, but at the same time, you got to remember they have an advantage, and they're pretty good attacking on the damage percentage. And Pit does have a little bit more kickback than Sonic does. And you know what? I haven't been seeing any type of back airs either coming from the Sonic. They're not using the sneakers. They're not bringing in the Nikes.
Ooh.
And that elimination animation was another debate. We got debated so many times yesterday, but it doesn't matter. Sonic can't recover, and it will be Pumpkin Side to come through with another round win. But I'm hearing tell that these are best of 5s today, not best of 3s.
Indeed it is. So Roblox God is going to have to build up one more victory. And on the back of that, I mean, suffering no damage in that last stock, pretty convincing. Seems like he got the Sonic game plan relatively on point. Might have game planned for a Sonic that plays a little bit more optimally, but it's not like Pumpkin Sai is exactly helpless either. He's able to throw out some of those options that you perhaps not expecting. But then again, Mewtwo King himself would say if you're playing optimally, then your opponent's always going to know what you're doing. Playing optimally is playing predictably. You have to be able to throw in the mix-ups. You have to be able to throw in a few suboptimal options in order to get those KOs, because otherwise, your game plan will be accounted for. I think Pumpkin Sai realizes that, but maybe getting a bit further back onto the course and realizing that Pit is going to try to abuse the disjoint that he has, as well as some of those spot dodges, couldn't possibly hurt, as we are going to get a switch over to Sora. We were talking about the differences there and having a disjoint, the kind of difference that made. You sure he's not listening to the stream, Captain A? I don't know.
I mean, they very well could be, and you know what? I am a very big Sora fan, being that I love Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite game series ever made. Again, holds a special place in my heart, but I gotta tell you, Sora in Smash, not the greatest. I think they definitely need a rework. I know it's not coming, but a man can dream. But regardless, in the way that this Pit has been playing, clearly they know this character, and the fact that this Sora is somewhat of like a backup, I just don't see it going well for Pumpkin Sai as they get sent to the blast zone for their first stock.
Craziness right now, and Roblox God, a very good representative of Barry High School. Pumpkin Sai fighting for his tournament life here, but on the receiving end of the first stock loss of game number 3. If Roblox God can finish this off, we'll go on to face off against Jumbo Turtle from Independence. Pumpkin Sai says, we're not talking about the future right now. You can't plan for this, Sora. We're evened up at 2 stocks apiece, though. Just blows him up with the side B. That thing is awful capable. It can be a reflector sometimes, but this is pure damage.
Yep, that it is. Roblox God doing such a phenomenal job right now. Still holding on to that 1 stock lead, but now, actually, no, down to 2 stocks apiece, but still they're holding the lead in damage percentage. And now here comes the down throw, able to apply enough damage to get them in the 100%, and it will be the 2nd stock now gone off of Pumpkin Sai. As Roblox God forced to recover, going after that last stock.
Gotta appreciate what you're seeing there. And again, Roblox God knowing that is one of the quicker KO options that you have. The frame 5 down smash of Pit, rearing its head again for the 2nd day in a row, I believe, Captain A, as this Sora will not go quietly into the night, not succumbing to the darkness just yet, and is going to F smash to try to get him off the stage, but again, cross the stage. More than recoverable for Roblox God. Need to be just a little bit more efficient with how you're choosing these recovery routes, as that air dodge will not be good to get back to the stage. We are at 1 stock each yet again.
Yeah, and look at this. You can already see Roblox God coming in, trying to get that revenge stock oh so quickly. But meanwhile, you do have Pumpkin Sai, who is taking their time a little bit here. And again, trying to play 1 stock at a time. And that's how you have to do it. Now you can see Thundaga is online. My favorite ability from Sora. But hold the phone! No. They misjudge the recovery, and they fall into the abyss. Roblox God will come away with a 3-0 sweep over Pumpkin Sai.
That is a rough one to give up on the down air, and just you thought that you had a little bit more than you actually did in terms of recovery. I mean, it happens all too often. We've seen it actually a few times in the early game with the Bayonetta, which you have drawn comparisons with to Sora in the past. We talked about that a little bit off the air. And you can certainly see why. It's a character that is very good, very potent in the correct hands. Kameme over in Japan has certainly proven that time and time again. But you're talking about a character that, again, still very niche, still relatively unexplored, maybe not even optimized. So if someone can get control of a Sora, it can certainly be a potent force capable of winning a tournament, certainly taking tournament sets. But right now, sometimes simple is best. Sometimes you got to go with the main that you've had since Brawl. Sometimes you just got to take up the swords and fly on the wings of Pit. Certainly a good strategy, and one that Roblox God implemented to astounding fashion.
It's just funny because again, me being the Kingdom Hearts nerd that I am knows that Sora was actually and at least in Kingdom Hearts lore was able to 1v1 Cloud and Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts, but in Smash, I don't know. That's a different conversation. But again, we got to see the Sora. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get to see Cloud and Sephiroth too. But that remains to be seen. But that will conclude our first series. Again, big GG's to Roblox God, and also GG's to Pumpkin Side as well. They did come out and put on one heck of a fight. And to start things off here, Captain was definitely Captain. But hey, I wanted to come out with a little spice. So there you have it. We got a little pumpkin.
It was a
spice
3-0.
It
You got
was a
that
3-0.
correct.
I
at the
did
very
call it in
least.
3. It was just went the other way. So again, we got to start it off with a little pumpkin spice. But with that being said, we're going to take a quick short break. And when we come back, there will be more content. There's going to be more Smash action right here on VESL. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Smash here at VESL. Captain A, yeah, I know, man. Perk up, wake up. We are ready to go yet again here in the Charlotte region, going up with apparently Horizon versus Babarg, I believe it is. So representatives from both Myers Park and JT Williams going at it. And again, as we're getting into this, it's the early rounds of the bracket. Don't quite know what to expect. You're getting a more dense concentration of quality here, but from what we have seen thus far, again, it could be a little bit of a disparity still. We don't know. Either way, you just know that there is still a lot of quality to come about. We will be seeing apparently Horizon and Babarg later on, but the two that we have coming up beforehand, still in Charlotte, but two very different competitors.
And you know what's really funny is that, I've casted these schools before. And again, this was last semester or last season on VESL. I just remember the team Philippa Berry because I always like pronouncing it with an Irish accent. Philippa Berry. So let's get ready to head into this matchup. We are going to have Espresso Depresso versus Smarty.
Espresso Depresso giving us a little Irish coffee. Why not? But Smarty, I mean, with the seems to be the me swordsman. Ironically enough, with the Metroid headgear, I'm not really sure how that works out, but so it goes. As we're going up with the Joker, me swordsman, definitely one of the characters that you play if you want to keep someone out and frustrate someone into mistakes, because you get a lot of those with a few me swordsmen. As uncommon as it might be to see this character, there's counterplay for sure, but when you're not ready for the matchup, it checks you, and it checks you hard. And we are seeing Espresso Depresso, even with the Joker, if you're not ready, if you're not willing to study what this thing does, you could be in deep trouble. I mean, getting tagged by that chakram, getting hit with that disjoint, I mean, being on the receiving end of some of those smash attacks, or even just the dash attack at ledge, it's dangerous, man.
Oh, absolutely. But you also got to keep in mind with the meat swordmen, they are so speedy. I mean, we talk about, the swordies, and, when people think about top tier swordies, they want to talk about Cloud, they want to talk about Roy, and, we could possibly throw Kid Link in there. But, again, also Byleth. I got to throw Byleth in there just because I love Byleth. But with that being said, this me swordsman, again, so speedy, so quick. And what makes them even more interesting is of a zoner type of utility that can really lure in a player into close range to damage in with that sword.
Exactly, and the thing is, definitely not a top tier character by any stretch. Still very exploitable weaknesses, but again, you're talking about someone who is able to exploit weaknesses themselves, and you're not even necessarily driving a car. You're certainly kicking the tires on it. You're almost like an auditor for your for a game plan. It's like, well, if you want to play optimally, you can probably beat me, but I know you want to be an individual. I know you have some foolish pride about you. Let's see just how proud you can be. Let's see just how committed you are to your game plan as opposed to the one that is going to win you the game for certain. And as this Joker is building himself up to 169%, it will only take one down air to send him out to the corner and out of the blast zone. 2 stocks to 1. Smarty looking awful good. And again, just tagging them with chakrams, tornadoes, and those forward airs, absolutely tormenting Espresso Depresso off stage.
Yeah, and then those mad dash attacks too. That's where they close the gap in. Again, they throw out the utility, they throw out the range attacks, and then whenever they try and go for the block and they go for the dodge on the chakram or the razor blade, whatever you would like to call it, that's when you see Smarty come in with the dash attack. They're really good at picking their spaces. They're just so good at spacing against this Joker, and I got to give Smarty credit for playing smart because again, all 3 times Arson has come out, Smarty has been able to avoid it entirely every single time. Arson has come out 3 times so far in this bout, and Smarty has yet to feel the effects of it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to know, if Espresso Depresso has the Arsene out, just don't engage. But when he's all by himself, oh, buddy, you brought yourself a knife to a sword fight. Smarty is going to take full advantage. Blade in hand, pointing up to the sky. I'm looking to go much farther than this, says the man from Palisades.
Yes, indeed. The Palisades able to get one up and over on Philippa Berry as we get ready to head into game number 2. And again, that was a fantastic Mii sword fighter. And when it comes to the Mii fighters, I see more Mii brawlers than I see Mii sword fighters. So again, it's very interesting to see. And we just happen to have a really good one, in my opinion. We were even stating earlier that Mii sword fighter might not even be towards like the S tier of Smash characters, whatever whoop de woo. But we also mentioned in days prior that it really comes down to your comfortability, what you are comfortable with, what are you able to perform at peak efficiency with, and that is most important. Comfort picks over everything else. And now, not to mention, in the past couple days, we have also seen a lot of switching. In compared to day number 1, day number 2, there was a lot of character switching. So I'm wondering if this player is going to be sticking with that Joker pick, or if the player from Philip O'Berry is going to try and maybe bring something else to the table.
I did say before that adaptability is king. Being able to implement your game plan and everything. Certainly, there's nothing wrong with making a character switch if you feel like it, but I don't feel like that was unwinnable by any stretch of the imagination for this Joker. Just you need to force the initiative when you have Arsene, because this Mii swordsman is doing too good a job of avoiding you when that's able to happen. And I get that Pokemon Stadium 2 gives you a lot of flat ground to have to negotiate, but you're still Joker. You have a top 10 ground speed in the game. You're able to rush this thing down, but you're getting outspaced and you're getting strictly outplayed, unfortunately, as we are going to see now. We have about the same ground speed, maybe a little bit more, but you also have a bigger disjoint, so it will be indeed Pyra and Mithra drawing their blades and trying to get a win for the Aegis against Smarty the Mii Swordsman, as that's not going to bode well as I think that's what they call a bad omen, Captain A.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. But I mean, with that being said, though, I feel like Smarty may have gerbated that, kind of bringing it to the edge, forcing the Mithra off stage, thinking that, oh, okay, we're going to get into an air battle. And then Smarty was like, no, this is Final Destination. It's too much stage room here to take it off stage. And I don't know. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe a missed input coming from the edge guard Mithra. But, you can see, it's just a free stock, essentially, that was given away to Smarty. And Smarty is a competitive Smash player. They're going to take any advantage you give them and use it to its fullest potential. Now we're going off stage, and now we get that air fight, and I mean, they both lose essentially, but Smarty wins because they still got the one stock advantage.
Exactly. I mean, you basically had to confirm at the very least you're able to take a stock, right? So I understand that from Espresso Depresso, but even then, you brought that upon yourself by simply drifting back to the stage. Smarty was able to catch your route of recovery so easily and is able to place the chakram exactly where you're trying to get back from the ledge. Getting caught all too easily. Smarty is reading this sortie like a book. And Mii Sword Fighter, you can't be a dummy and play this character. Like, the people who find success with this character are almost invariably some of the more cerebral players. I mean, there's a legend from Jersey named R. Hungry who used to do the same, and Smarty doing them proud here. A 2-stock victory, as convincing as could be. The counter pick simply did not work. You're going to have at least one more game to try to figure something out at Espresso Depresso, but the clock is ticking, and Smarty watching it intently.
Absolutely. And again, you got to give it up to Smarty. They are such a mechanically sound player when they're playing Mii Fighter, because we've seen other Mii Fighters before, not necessarily in this league, but throughout Smash Competitive. I mean, you have a lot of time in this game. I've had some time in this game. I mean, I don't want to date myself, but, in 64, the 90s was a good time. But regardless, we've gotten to see Mii Fighters before. We've seen sorties before. And again, we haven't seen too many that just make us stop and really gasp in the moment. But I got to tell you, this Mii sword fighter right here is definitely putting on a show for the Palisades, and I got to tell you, they're making a strong argument for the Mii sword fighter. Again, this is just true mechanical prowess coming through. You can tell how many hours they have put into this character.
Absolutely. And you're talking about Mii sword fighters that have, at the very least, gotten positive results or made local top eights. Individuals like our Hungry, like Talo Halo in the DFW area, one of the more contentious regions that definitely likes to go towards the top of the tier list to define their meta. And yet you have a me sword fighter succeeding there. I just wanted to shout out Halo Halo, if I'm being completely honest with you. But I believe that we are going to game number 3 in this one. They might be, we could be seeing another character switch, but again, being adaptable is good. Being shakeable is not. And I do feel like there's a very distinct difference, Skipper, and we might be seeing it here.
I mean, we might. Again, day 2, again, we got to see more switches. And day 3, it might be just another day for switches, which I'm all about, because I get so impressed when I'm seeing, these young players who manage to switch to other characters and are just as talented, if not more so. And again, I have to bring up one of my favorites again from yesterday, Coco Nate, who was just putting on a show with the Piranha Plant and then switches to the Banjo and Kazooie and then still manages to pop off. But at the same time, you got Who on the other side of that fight as well, who was coming in with the Bowser, switch to the King K. Rool, then pulls out Akasia out of nowhere. Again, just being able to see the different characters these players know and have really gotten good with is really impressive. And now here we have the Cloud coming from Espresso Depresso as we get what could be the third and final match underway.
Yeah, the Cloud. We'll have to see if this fares any better. I mean, going with bigger and bigger disjoints each and every time, but I don't think that it's spacing that's necessarily the problem. It's the defensive movement that Smarty has been able to adapt to. I don't know if a character change is necessarily going to change that. Certainly, you have better offensive options depending on your play style, but Smarty has been able to take advantage of just about everything that that Espresso Depresso has been able to throw out. The Chakram, okay, is going to hit the shield on that side B, but not quite done yet. Smarty is going to maintain advantage, puts him up to triple digits, and is going to get the KO off of the fair. And Smarty, again, running away with this very quickly. Espresso Depresso is going to have to act fast if they want to keep this thing alive.
Oh, absolutely. And, so far we've seen 3 different characters coming from Espresso Depresso, and I love to see it. But with that being said, you have Smarty, who's sticking with the me sword fighter and clearly has gotten this character perfected to a T. The way that they execute, the way they find openings, and the way they honestly create openings. It's one thing to take advantage of a mistake and capitalize on an opportunity. It's a completely different thing to create your own opportunity, and that's what Smarty does with the me sword fighter.
We're seeing that now. It's going to be the cross slash that winds up connecting, and Espresso Depresso not out of this one yet. Smarty piling it on 70 percentage points worth of damage, but again, that Buster Sword, it hits awfully hard. You don't even need to win most of your neutral interactions in order to get a victory here. You just need to be able to get maybe half of them, and you should be okay, but Smarty keeps tagging him at the ledge. And again, recovery seems to be the weak point for Espresso Depresso, and Smarty more than happy to exploit it.
And you know what I'm noticing too is that, we've seen Smarty, they really go for a lot of these horizontal plays. They throw out the gyro discs and, they throw out the utility, then they follow it up with the dash attacks. And that's how they had a lot of success in these matches. But against this Cloud, notice that the horizontal gameplay has not been going completely their way. So then in that last stock, they went vertical. They threw out the tornado into the up tilt, into the up air, and it was just enough to get the finish. So again, I like the versatility and I like the change up here. Now they go for the down spike, and it's still Cloud is able to recover.
Yeah, is able to get that at the very least. That 129, 137 is going to keep on going up as Espresso Depresso, will they even be able to touch their feet on the ground again? The answer is no, as the Cloud sinks to the depths below. Smarty moves on by a score of 3-0, a well-earned win for this me sword fighter.
And you know what I am hearing, and hopefully Captain isn't capping here. Hopefully my intelligence is correct. But Smarty, with that win, does get to go to the LAN in January, the regional LAN, that is. So again, they have earned their spot here just by taking on this player, Espresso Depresso from the Palisades, and taking that 3-stock win. They have come through and pressed us all, and now they have earned their spot at the regional LAN.
And Smarty has marked themselves as a player to watch in order by doing so, because a 3-0 win against characters that are considered to very heavily define the meta. You're talking about Cloud, talking about Pythra, talking about Joker. Those characters were made to look
Like
not all that threatening to
that's A
Smarty.
and S tier characters. I mean, you look
Oh,
at any
all three
tier
of them.
list. Yeah, all
Three of
three
them.
of them. You
Easily.
look at any tier list. Pyra or as I call them, Edgeguard Mithra, Joker, and Cloud literally are in the S, if not A tier. Like it's got to, I would say all three are in the S tier. But again, they're top notch characters.
Exactly. And the thing is, it just does not matter. As long as you have a dream in your heart and a will to perfect something, you can make any character work if you've got the heart, if you've got the determination. So certainly Smarty has that, and they have earned their place in the regional LAN in January. But folks, who else is going to earn theirs? A couple of spots are on the line. Someone's got to take them. We'll find out who. Coming up next here, Smash at VESL. Don't go away. Welcome back to Smash at VESL. Captain at Sulcus to the announcer here with you. And we are getting into yet more action in this time in Greensboro. So we need to see a few more qualifiers to qualify for their LAN. I believe it will be top 16 that winds up moving on to the regional LAN to see who is the best of the best, and contending for that title right here in this for this qualifier spot, none other than Bone SSB from Enloe and Blue from Leesville Road.
Yeah, and you know what? This should be again pretty interesting because, as you know, again we get further along into the brackets, the more that we learn, and the more that we realize what's really on the line here. And again, you know, a spot at the regional LAN, that's a pretty nice prize to fight for there. I mean, they are definitely given something to incentivize them to bring their best A game here. And now we're getting ready to see what they will bring to the stage, as we will have Wolf taking on Sora.
I mean, this is a battle. The Wolf is a sortie, and you can't change my mind about
Wolf
that.
is a sortie?
It might as well be with the range that you have on some of those swiping attacks. The down air connecting below down smash, connecting below the ledge. The range that you get on that up air and forward air might as well be a disjoint. Those claws are awful big. They hit really hard. Halfway decent grab range as well. It's just a sword that grabs. Let's be real. Wolf is a swordie. Change my mind.
Okay, so Wolf is like what, like a dual wielding swordie because they got the two claws. Is that what we're going about it?
See, you're catching on, man. You're getting it. No,
oh my. Oh, yeah, and again, you know, we're seeing the trades being thrown out there, and you know what? We got to see the Thundaga, and you already know, again, I love Sora, but, you know, I think they could have did a little bit better with Thundaga. If you had made Thundaga more like the Thunderbolt from Pikachu, I think it would be so much better. And again, Thundaga, my favorite move from Sora. And unfortunately, they haven't got it to land yet, but you know what is landing? How about those up airs and those up smashes coming from Wolf?
Yeah, no, this is a character that, again, does like to be in the air, but only on their terms, as the neutral air going to send him off the stage at 148%. That's the danger of being so floaty, is that you can be comboed and laddered relatively easily. And even though Wolf is not really the type that does that, man, when you get hit as Sora, you get hit hard. You go flying into the sky, and I understand that you're meant to take to the air, but yeah, not with Wolf O'Donnell's help, let me tell you.
And you know what, I gotta another thing that I gotta tell you is that, you know, with Sora, again, I like to compare them a lot to Bayonetta, not necessarily before their ground game, but before their air game. Those air dashes, again, I think Sora is a lot better in the air, and you know, Wolf maybe not so much. I mean, I feel like Wolf is a lot better grounded, so I'm thinking Sora really needs to try and figure out a way to get this Wolf into the air, and maybe even off stage. Again, they go for those air dashes as a recovery, but you know, they're being blocked every time. You got to get this Wolf in the air so you can start doing those air combos, build up the damage, and then take them to the ground to try and find a finishing smash.
I do like the idea of trying to keep Blue grounded strictly through the threat of that up smash, which you're seeing right there. Don't even necessarily need to do that. All you got to do is wait for Blue to just sort of dash in, and you can catch him with the up smash right then and there. 3 stock to 1 advantage, though. Certainly one big hit away from potentially seeding it. Although you have Blue at the ledge. Again, just sort of force him over to the edge. Force him around. If you're able to push him around on the stage, that's you controlling the match, because you're able to control their positioning. You're able to control what options they're even able to throw out safely, as eventually Thundaga is going to connect with the Wolf on the platform. So finally the first stock comes to a close, but you got to be able to tech that. Otherwise, you're liable to get down smashed. And the aerial combos, again, piling on a little bit more damage, but only 17 percentage points worth of it. You have to win, I mean, 80 to 85% of the neutral interactions going forward now.
And you can see already that Bones loves to keep the play on the ground. They're not chasing. Anytime that Sora tries to go up top, you know, Bones, they're not going to follow. They're going to wait for Sora to come back to the ground. And you know, that Thundaga has only hit once out of the 4 times I've seen it used. And again, Wolf is really good at countering it. You know, if they're close enough, they know that they can just get past these spells like Viagra there, like Thundaga here. And then once they close that gap mid spell, that's when they deal the damage. But they get caught in the ice, and they were able to reflect some damage damage right back to Sora as we go towards center stage as Thundaga comes out again and still not able to connect.
It's going to be a dash attack that almost gets the KO off of Pokemon Stadium 2. Again, the shortest ceiling in this competitive moveset in the stage list, excuse me. And one of the deadlier moves in the moveset of Wolf, the dash attack. Almost getting the KO twice over. Will not be enough just this time. Looking for the grab, but again, the wily nature of Sora proving to be just a little too tough to hit in that particular instance. It's going to be back throw, however, that does the job. Well close to the 200s. It's going to be Bone, SSB, that does the deed. And man, it's dirty deeds done dirt cheap for Wolf O'Donnell. As we go to another game here in Group M, it's going to be a Roxborough team kill, unfortunately. So Roxborough guaranteed a spot in the regional LAN. However, it will be at the expense of one of their own. So we'll have to see who wants it more between Beetle 11 and Fenris, who we saw yesterday playing a Pikachu.
Yep, that we did. So again, my question is that are we going directly to this game next, or are we going to finish this series between Wolf and Sora? Again, I just got questions because I would really like to see how that one finished up. But if not, we can also go and see what's going on with Finra, because again, we did get to see them play yesterday, and they did have a little difficult time. They were getting close there to a victory. They truly, truly were. But again, they weren't able to confirm there at the bitter end. They weren't able to finally solidify that last stock, but it did come down to the wire.
Yeah, and I do believe that we are going to game number 1 of the Roxborough mirror match here. But Beetleguest and Fenris, we're going to see game number 1 first, because they might just be explaining this to the people in the ring right now. It's like, well, why can't we just play our second game? I believe we're going back and forth. So just to make sure that they have time to deliberate, to pick maps, to do all the good stuff, making sure that that we're all good to go, they're all good to go, just so they have time to deliberate and to make their character selections so that we're not killing time.
Understood.
So, yeah, we are in the meantime gonna get Betelgeuse and Fenris up here, and we did see the Pikachu yesterday. We were talking about that, and again, not so much that they were playing poorly. It's just that they got downloaded really hard. And maybe a good night's sleep, some studying of the game film, gives Fenris a little bit of insight as to what they're able to do. And they have quite the task ahead of them, as this is one of the worst matchups for Pikachu is Game & Watch.
Oh, and you already know I love Game & Watch. We talked about this yesterday. I was waiting for the Game & Watch to come out, and I hope they don't disappoint, and I hope I don't caster's curse them again. So for every character that I come out and said, oh, you know what, I really like this character, they lose! I'm sorry, the captain's caster's curse, it's real. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I've started to notice that, but then again, I do play a little bit of Game & Watch myself, so this character certainly has the potential to disrupt game plans, and that is exactly when Pikachu is so reliant on implementing a game plan in the first place. When you have a character that exists specifically to troll you, like Game & Watch kind of does at times, looking for the side B off of the stage to potentially get that KO, only coming up with the 5, but man, oh man, that could have been bad news.
And again, the difference, a real big difference between Pikachu and Game & Watch is that Game & Watch, at least in my opinion, has a lot more knockback potential, able to send you into the blast zone a little bit more than what Pikachu can. And I think that's pretty evident now that we see that the first stock is now gone from Pikachu, thanks to Game & Watch. Again, they have so much in their arsenal. They have the bombs, and we love the bombs. They have the hammers, and not to mention, if they want, they can even take you to the upper blast zone with the updrafts. Again, there's just so much elimination potential that comes from Game & Watch.
And of course, the fact that you can do 2 smash attacks in a row, and that's a confirm. Talking, of course, about the down B into either the side down smash, into either up or side smash, depending. Looking for the stock off of Judgment and gets the 2 instead. I feel like there could have been something a little more optimal, but then again, Betelgeuse 11. He's just going for the sauce out here. I mean, that's how it is. This is barbecue country. You already know the sauce is the boss. Betelgeuse certainly showing that.
Yep, that they are. And you got to give respect to Beetle Geese or Beetle Guess just from holding on to that first stock for so long. But that's what you have to be afraid of, the hammers. The hammers that put you in the dirt and then you get a chair to the face. That's Game and Watch. Once again, getting their one stock lead back from Fenris.
Oh, we could be looking for something really bad here. I was fully expecting the judgment again. I'm not even going to lie to you. At 64%, however, going to decide to just take it slow, walk it on in, get the damage with the bowl of fish, and then maybe a down tilt to get him off stage just a little bit more, debase the Pikachu just a little bit. Looking for the judgment at 100. Wow, what a catch. The headbutt, super committal option, super linear. That means Betelgeuse gets to line it up, and line it up they did. Finding the key to victory up in the air, Betelgeuse takes game number 1.
Yeah, that we do. And now, if I'm not mistaken, we should be heading back to our other game now where we saw Sora taking on that wolf between Bones and Blue, if I'm not mistaken. So if again, it takes my mind a little bit to catch up to things and how we're going through it. But again, if I'm not mistaken, that should be how the process is going, because now this matchup that we just saw should be taking a break so while they get acclimated, so that way they can pick their maps, so that way they can pick their characters. And by the time we come back, they will be good to go. But with that being said, again, that was a great first matchup coming from that Game and Watch, a truly exceptional play. And again, that's how Game and Watch is supposed to be played. And like you had mentioned, they're just a natural counter to the Pikachu pick.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Unfortunate matchup, perhaps, for Fenris. But again, you maybe have a chance to account for that because this is someone in your school. But even then, Betelgeuse, without a doubt, showed the most competence with a character that uses a key as a weapon thus far on this stream. I can say that with absolute certainty. And I can see the pain on your face, Skipper. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. I completely agree. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, Game & Watch, but at the same time, they have a plethora of weapons at their disposal. I mean, they got breakfast. I mean, they are literally serving breakfast to their opponents, and that right there could be a detriment just from the edge guard alone. Not to mention they got hammers, they got frying pans. Oh, if you get bonked by the frying pan, I mean, say no more. You might as well just throw in the towel at that point. So again, Game & Watch, they're able to take a lot of things and turn them into some pretty hefty weaponry.
Yeah, we did see that neutral B hit for a pretty decent knockback across the stage. Even won Betelgeuse the advantage state at one point early on as that Pikachu was up towards the 80, 90th damage percentile. But as we are going to wait now, as our producer Slothman, shout out to Slothman, by the way, who has been, doing the equivalent of herding cats while doing this production. Just absolute monster this dude is. So please follow him at Read the Sloth on Twitter. But yeah, we got 1 out of 2 people in as Sloth is trying to take care of everything. And we're going back now to the Blue versus B-Dog matchup. And I believe, again, it's Bone had to... Bone versus Blue. Bone had to work a little bit in order to get that victory, but they're going to see now what they can do with the Hero of Time instead of what they were playing before. As we get the Link versus Cloud, an interesting contrast to styles for what should be a similar game plan.
And you know what? I'm digging it, honestly. I love a good Swordy v Swordy. But with that being said, again, I mentioned it earlier. I'm a little bit more fan of the Kid Link than I am what appears to be Twilight Princess Link. Still, Link is Link. They're still going to be a good player. But again, that Kid Link, I think, just has a little bit more speed to them. Again, I like their zoning abilities. But with that being said, let's see how this fully grown Link matches up against Cloud and the Buster Sword, the Buster Blade, as we get this first round full and underway. And right now, Cloud is on the receiving end of a lot of this damage.
Yeah, the big difference between the past iterations of Link and this one, one of the bigger ones right away that you'll notice, no hook shot for a grab. And a lot of players are considering this a sort of advantage that he has over the other Links, because yes, it's nice to have that extra range, but being able to grab a little bit more quickly and also having a little bit more quickness, a little bit more mobility. This is Breath of the Wild Link, I do believe, but yeah, it's definitely similar art styles, right? With that Twilight Princess. Yeah, no, it could definitely be forgiven with that, but you do have the timer bombs, as you might be able to tell. got those arrows, and yeah, you got that hero's tunic you're wearing out there in the open field, and few monsters that you can encounter that are more dangerous than Cloud Strife, though Bone seems to be handling it just fine thus far.
Yep, that they are. And you got to remember that Bones does have that 1-win lead so far. So they are already setting themselves up for victory here with that other one-stock lead advantage here in game number 2. And now that forward slash does connect, and it sends Cloud and B-Dog to the blast zone, giving them now a 2-stock advantage for Bones.
Yeah, sitting at 114 again. Link still relatively hefty, all things considered. Oh, tries for the air dodge back to the ledge. It will not work out. You are put into so much stun, and some characters just have a better air dodge than others. They get a little bit more out of that directional one. Even then, you're not snapping to ledge right away if you're doing it parallel to the ledge. You have to do it below if you're going to directional air dodge up and try to snap to ledge, because you are still very vulnerable, more so than you would think otherwise. But that's going to be no problem for Bone, who is going to clean up on the stage, and Blue getting absolutely wiped off of it. Bone is going to go up 2-0 in convincing fashion, I gotta say. Talking a little bit about the recovery, still one of the weak points for Link. Don't get me wrong, still a very heavy boy, still one that doesn't get the most vertical movement, as you would expect from someone carrying around all that equipment, right? But then again, it's what you do on the ground that is Link's bread and butter, and we were seeing that, utilizing the bombs to decent effect, the boomerang to control the neutral space between himself and the opponent, and then you have the swords to supplement all of that, as we are going to get to the Roxborough mirror match yet again. Betelgeuse sticking with the Game & Watch, but Fenris has hired the services of the Mishima Zaibatsu with the Kazuya coming out on Pokemon Stadium 2.
Now, I think this does make for a better matchup than, say, Pikachu, but at the same time, you know, it's Game & Watch. I don't know what to tell you. Game & Watch literally juggling this Kazuya right now, doing a fantastic job, even though the small openings that Kazuya did manage to get have been enough to deal a plethora of damage. I mean, look at this, 100% damage already onto the Game & Watch, and they're just about even here as Game & Watch still trying to hold on as the air pump does connect, and now we have the Demon Rage activated for Kazuya as they're able to find the first stock off of Game & Watch.
Oh, and read that roll beautifully, held the smash attack. As a result, you are not escaping this, my guy. And is not able to use the Rage Art, but still able to get the confirm for the KO. We're at 2 stocks apiece. And honestly, I believe that at a certain percentage, we might be past it now, but down or up throw into Judgment is true at a certain percentage. It might be a little bit more so on Kazuya, though. Don't believe we're going to be seeing it for a little bit. And it gets the 8 for the freeze, and is going to take Kazuya off of the stage. Fenris is having a really tough time dealing with the varied gameplay of Game & Watch. This is troublesome.
Yeah, and now that Rage Art is officially gone, so that is also a little bit detrimental. And with that being said, we are on Pokemon Stadium 2. It does have the lowest ceiling of the majority of the maps here. And with that being said, you know, Game & Watch with those updrafts can make something out of it. We have yet to see it on any map so far from the Game & Watch, but it is still there. It is still a danger, and I don't think Kazuya should forget about those updrafts just yet. As you can see already, you know, Game & Watch going right after Kazuya's last stock.
Yeah, and it's just going to keep piling on the damage. A full stock lead, looking for the Judgment on top of that, is going to shield the side B. Devil's Fist not finding the mark, but the key to victory, again, well in the hands of Betelgeuse, looking to go up 2-0. The Kazuya off the stage, looking for the Judgment to finish it off. Lucky number 7 does not strike for Betelgeuse, as it's going to be the down smash into the forward smash. He games, you watch. Betelgeuse goes up 2-0.
Yeah, that they do. And again, you got to watch out for those hammers. They're just so dangerous. And not to mention, they even got the ice freeze earlier on. And honestly, I thought that was fitting to be a stock in and of itself. And again, I did like the switch to Kazuya. Even though it didn't really do them much good against the Game & Watch, I thought it was an interesting change. I thought the change was necessary, and I think it was a decent change, yeah, coming from the Pikachu to the Kazuya. And honestly, I think they should give it another go. They still got one more match to go. So I think they should give Kazuya another try. Again, give it another try. hone in on your mistakes and make the corrections. But with that being said, we're getting ready to head back over to Group K so that way we can check in with our players Bones and Blue, who are still getting ready to get their game number 3 underway. And remember, they just finished off on an interesting sword matchup between Cloud and Link, and once again, Bones was able to take it, and they find themselves now on match and series point.
Exactly. And now as Bone is going into game number 3, excuse me, with a boatload of confidence, seeing what they could do against of the very top of the tier list. They have to know that right now they are strictly outplaying Blue, and it's nothing that Blue can't recover from, because we have seen points of weakness that perhaps could be exploited in Bone's gameplay, but have to see if Blue is able to do so. And Blue, indeed, we are going to the Blue Blur, but it is going to be Bone switching off as well and employing the services of one Douglas J. Falcon as we go to Battlefield for this potentially decisive game number 3.
And now I think this is something that we might actually finally both agree on, because if I'm not mistaken, we both love Captain Falcon. Again, I absolutely love Captain Falcon. I can't wait to see what Bones can do with this particular character. Again, we've already seen Bones impress us on 2 different characters already, and now they're bringing in a third. And not only that, but again, it's one of those legacy characters. This is Captain Falcon, arguably one of the more I don't even know how to word this correctly, but they just have they cover the board fairly well. They have decent neutral game, they have decent air game, their recovery isn't awful, so again, they're balanced somewhat in all aspects of Smash.
I mean, if you want to see the test, the difference between the casuals and the competitive players, all you have to ask about is Captain Falcon. And, the casuals, they'll say, obviously, Falcon punch, and that's well and good. And it's super hype. Don't get me wrong when someone's able to connect with that. You want to talk to competitive players, they're going to tell you 2 things. Down throw, knee. That is so iconic throughout so many iterations of the game, and this Sonic could very well find themselves a victim of that, though certainly at this point, forward throw could do the job, and indeed it will at 155. Has more than enough muscle to take the Blue Blur off the right side of the stage.
Oh yes, we do love the down throw, the up B, and as much as I mean, again, the Falcon punch is iconic, but I often find myself using the Falcon kick way more. Falcon kick, it's a lot of fun. But again, these up tilts, being able to go to down throw, up tilt, up B, again, that right there is the bread and butter. That's the bread and butter of Captain Falcon.
He was so looking for it. You could tell just evil intentions in the eyes of Bone, who will eventually fall victim to the up smash. Teed himself up for it on that platform. That could be the one advantage that Sonic is able to gather here, is that you can say it's hazards off, but those platforms are basically hazards in this game. But you talk about hazardous. The Falcon dive, out of shield. One of the better out of shield options in the game is that command grab. And Bone is going to take full advantage as... Oh my goodness, an absolute assault in the air. It started up by these dash attacks and these down tilts. And again, these nairs just absolutely peppering Sonic. Almost at 90% now, and Bone is far from done.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they still have that 1 stock lead. They have more than lapped B-Dog at this point. And again, the speed that is coming from Captain Falcon right now. And it's not aimless either. This isn't a loose cannon Captain Falcon coming from Bones. Everything so far has been meticulated. Everything has been methodical. And right now, finally, we do see Sonic beginning to answer back a lot on the aerial game against Bones. But again, Bones still has that whole stock in their favor as Sonic does closely make a comeback here.
Yeah, and that's how you utilize that side B. Oh my gosh, was looking for the turnaround Falcon punch. And I think it's gonna be it. Scoop him up and then dunk him down. And it's gonna be Bone going where Eagles dare with Captain Falcon. 3-0 as Bone SSB moves on to regionals.
Yeah, and we're going to have to take like a quick recap just to go through all the characters that we've seen Bones bring out. And again, we started with Wolf, right? And then we went to Grown Link, Adult Link, whatever you want to call them, Link. And then they finished off on Captain Falcon. And none of those characters that they picked were not satisfactory. Every single one that Bones brought out, they played efficiently, they played well, they played with a lot of knowledge, mechanics, the whole nine. So again, that's three different characters that we know that Bones can play successfully. And honestly, they're going to be a danger going into the regionals.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you're able to see someone do well with the Falcon as well as the Link, you know that they have decent fundamentals at the very least. Yes, each of them have their cheese. Captain Falcon is an honest man adapted to a dishonest world. He doesn't want to up B out of shield 70% of the time to get his KOs. He does that because he has a family to feed. I will defend him on that. But no, you're talking about again, Falcon being able to utilize the proper spacing might as well be a sword move with how far he extends that leg on Nair. Was able to pepper that Sonic perfectly and got really good results out of it. So we are going to see now Fenris switching over to the Gold Cat Pikachu as Battle Guess. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this Game & Watch at the very least cracked. Looking for the judgment on landing in the headbutt. Battle Guess, I mean, doing everything short of taunting at this point.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, like so far, again, we were talking about all these different characters, and so far I've heard you call Wolf and Captain Falcon a sortie, and now at this point I'm about to start calling Game & Watch a sortie. Game & Watch is now a sortie too.
I mean, you do have some certain disjointed moves. I will say Captain Falcon. I mean, Captain Falcon just has a janky hitbox. It's not necessarily a disjoint, but it might as well be a sword. Let's be real. But we've got now again dash attack, being able to clear up the stray hit KO power of Game & Watch. Certainly something to behold, and is going to pepper on even more damage. You can use it at just about any percentage. A full stock lead now for Battle Guess, who is kind of treating Fenris with the kid gloves, if I'm being completely honest, because this match could very well have been over if Battle Guess decided to go with the most optimal strategies, and is going to hit him with the judgment. Was looking for the actual coup de grace off of the down smash. Fenris able to avoid it.
I mean, again, we've seen keys be used as swords already today, so that key, once again, could be a sword from Game & Watch. As you can see, they do land those hammers. Again, looking for that down key, not able to land it. And now they're going to serve him up some humble pie, sending Pikachu off stage with a nice bomb on top. But the recovery is there. Pikachu still holding on, still finding their way back center stage.
Turtles are swords now, by the way. Game & Watch back air. So we got the down air that please do not use a turtle as a sword. I've been advised by production to say that for legal purposes. Now, we have the up air. Again, is going to be countered, but the landing, again, exploited. That's what happens when you commit to frames, is that they can be exploited, they can be avoided, and taken advantage of. Battle Guess, how much has Battle Guess been able to get off of just landing frames on headbutt?
Again, this Game & Watch has been able to find openings and then create them as well. And now you can see Pikachu trying to go for the Thunderbolt, but Game & Watch was able to maneuver around it. I mean, for much as Game & Watch is really good at dealing a lot of heavy damage on the ground, they're also quite capable in the air and off stage as well. So again, Game & Watch is just such a threat. And there are those updrafts again, just piling on the damage as they look, Beetle Guess looking to 3-stock in this final game, and they just might do it.
That might just happen, but this time Fenris is able to see the stock at the very least with no real problem. And look at this, ever so close to a JV3, looking for the judgment to finish it off. Not quite there just yet, but oh my goodness. Looking for the sauce. Fenris parried the 9. Okay. Judgment is a 50-50. You either get a 9 or you don't. But that's going to be a down smash, just piling on more damage. As we're getting the lag check, the reality is breaking around Battle Guess and Fenris. Game & Watch turning everything flat and flattens his opponent as a result. Battle Guess looking as dominant as anyone we have seen in this tournament thus far. He games, you watch, 3-0 as Battle Guess claims their spot in the regionals.
Yep, that they do in spectacular fashion. I mean, they took the series, a 3-0 sweep, and it was Again, just a pure display of how you need to play Game and Watch. And not to mention, we had already talked about just, the utter damage that they're able to bring, the amount of reach that they have, for being such a 2-bit character. They still manage to find ways to deal damage from afar. And those updrafts, again, they're just some of my favorites because, being able to really juggle, and I mean literally juggle with the Game and Watch is just a way that they can apply so much damage. So that way, by the time you reach the ground, you're already falling into an F smash. You're falling into the hammers. You're falling into that humble pie. You're falling into a turtle. And need I remind everyone at home that there were no turtles harm in the making of this production.
Good catch. Now that we're all good with legal, we can go ahead and take a break. We have more action coming up. We are going over to we're staying in Greensboro for this one. They need opponents now. Dude, Betelgeuse and Bone. We'll have to see which two step up and which two are going to be left behind. So don't go away. You're watching Smash here at VESL. back to Smash here at VESL. It's Captain Ed Salka, Stu the announcer, rocking out with you. And yeah, Captain A getting into it still in the region of Greensboro, still have top 16 yet to be determined for the regionals, and some pretty strong contenders going at each other here. Again, we were talking about the Roxborough team kill that happened in our prior few sets. Now we're having the same happen for Leesville Road as Taco Shanti going up against 9pet9, and also on the other side of that, Zionic going up against Kronos Spade. So interesting, intriguing matchups. And again, 4 individuals, 2 spots. Who wants it more?
And that's really what it comes down to. Again, you can really look at the players and how they play and know who is putting in those hours. Like, again, I have to bring up that Me Sword Fighter just because, again, I was so impressed with how well they knew that character, how well they executed, that that they put in a lot of hours, they put in a lot of practice, and that it takes a lot of effort for these players to come in and compete with some of the best in their respective region within their state and come out on top. So again, let's see who's going to be able to come out top with this next matchup now between King K. Rool and Kirby. 9pet9 on the Kirby and Taco Shanti on the side of King K. Rool.
Yeah, and Kirby and K. Rool, you talk about one of those matchups that have all the potential for jank in the world. Zionic is looking to prove that here at the expense of Kirby. They're both going to have those command grab shenanigans with their respective neutral Bs. But again, I mean, there's plenty of examples of quality play for both these characters, even if they don't win every single tournament on the planet. There's still more than enough. And Zionic, goodness gracious me, the forward air going to send Kirby to the depths at terminal velocity.
Dude, that looked like a down air the way he threw that punch. I mean, he came from up top with it, just right on Kirby's noggin. That was mean. That one felt hurtful. And you know what? I guess it's just because of me, because much like with Yoshi, when I look at Kirby, I just think, wow, they're so adorable. They're so cute. Why would anyone want to hurt them?
Oh, dog, that was a down air. K. Rool took to the air and Kirby went down. That is how it plays out sometimes. And now you got this Kirby doing everything that they can to play keep away, but Zionic, the offense just too potent at the moment and nowhere to run, no platforms to hide upon. If you are this Kirby, you have to knuck up one way or another, but how do you account for the sheer muscle of King K. Rool?
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the belly armor yet. I mean, we haven't even gotten there. The belly armor doesn't even have any cracks in it at the moment. Right now, this has just been all K. Rool. There should be an elimination coming somewhere from the Kirby, but right now they are just being brought to the edge time and time again in this K. Rool, which we really don't think of being a speedy character because they're not. They're heavy, but I gotta say, Sonic on the K. Rool is a lot quicker than most.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about being able to move with the character, right? Yeah, obviously the character offers you only so much you can do with it, whatever the character allows you to do, but sometimes it's just not all that imperative. Against a character like Kirby, you're able to address their offense midair with relative ease because you're able to get some cheesy stocks yourself, especially with something like up smash that just absolutely tagged you. That up air, it's a big old head that K. Rool has on him. Yeah, just go ahead, point it out. And without a crack in that belly, is that some polish I still see on there, actually? Zionic is going to go up by a score of 1-0.
Yep, that they do, and honestly, I gotta bring attention to it, but the map pick was definitely not in Kirby's favor on that one. I mean, when you see Final Destination, that's going to come down to your brawlers and to your heavies. That's going to be a big advantage there, especially for the heavies. Again, there's really nowhere to go. You can't finesse, you can't outmaneuver, and Kirby is a very floaty character. They need some type of platforms to get some of that mobility going, especially the upward mobility. And we had even mentioned this earlier with Sora, being that floaty character, you can sustain a lot of damage. You can become very vulnerable to a particular matchup, and Kirby against the K. Rool and Final Destination being so floaty just wasn't a great matchup. So it feels bad in that regard, but oh my goodness, did Zionic, they just played phenomenally well on that K rule, and now they're going to bring out King Koopa himself, Bowser. As you can see, we do have a connection error. Has occurred.
Mhm.
It has.
Yeah. Well, either way, we get a preview of what we could be seeing. Rob versus Bowser, certainly something that we have seen prior, and through whatever ways. I mean, if you're in Florida, you've probably seen Nick Riddle against someone like Anathema or something like that,
Yes,
or in
I was
Tri-State.
there.
Dude, it's a ridiculous matchup. Or even someone like Deluxe Menu back in the day. But I mean, being from Tri-State, I'm definitely partial to both Zamba and Leon, who are quite good on these characters themselves. But yeah, definitely had to shout out the South for you, Captain A.
Dude, I
We
got
know
to.
these two characters, these heavies, they know how to fight, they know how to knuck up, but and yet somehow, even though they're two heavies, two very different game plans.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I love the shout to Anathema there because, again, Anathema, not just good at the Raw, by the way, they're also really good at Bayonetta as well. Anathema, definitely a talented player. And, when they're on the Raw, they do wonders. And, speaking of, I was at the Battle for the South Land, Florida versus Georgia. I saw and casted Anathema live against Jazzo, and Anathema's Rob was able to take Jazzo and take them down. Truly a spectacular display. And Rob, being such a versatile character, they could do that. They could go up against the brawlers. They could go up against the heavies. They can go up against, players like this Bowser, and they can make things happen. So again, I'm really excited to see the Rob, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to who's behind the sticks. Anathema on Rob, that's S tier. But unfortunately, we have still got to see what this player is going to bring to this Raw pick as they get ready to go into their next matchup.
And you already know the general game plan is that it's going to rely heavily on that gyro. It's one of the best tools in the game for controlling neutral. It's basically the win neutral button for Rob. You don't have to worry about it because you just you're really doing that whole Ronco set it and forget it, John, right there in the middle of the stage. And they have to deal with it one way or another. Got to get it to stop spinning, and only then can you really use it as a weapon. If you're able to catch it, that's all well and good, but even then, timing mix-ups, speed mix-ups on the throw of the gyro. It can always throw people off. The angles at which you need to deal with it can always change. The Rob can do that at will. And now you're talking about having to combat the neutral game. If you can't just run up on Rob, what are you doing? You're having to jump. Rob has those anti-air options. Obviously, that nair, if you're able to time it correctly, that nair can be your best friend. You just need to be able to hit the timing on it. Or you have forward air to swipe at him off stage. You have that that Zombair, the back air, that is such a good KO confirm off of the sides. And it's so tricky to have to deal with anything that Rob can throw at you, especially those lasers, especially those gyros. But then you supplement it with some of the best boxing options in the game, and there are very few answers that you can really have as opposed to when you're talking about that. But either way, we will see what's happening between those two as time goes on. We're going right back to Zionic and Kronos Spade.
Yeah, that we are. This is going to be their second round here, and again, just showing out on that on the King K rule. You have Zionic. I believe I'm a little confused, but regardless, okay. So we're back in it now. I want to say this should be. Is this Group F that we're currently looking at?
It's Group C that we are looking at. Zionic and Kronos Spade, and as we saw the K rule doing work and taking it to a score of 1-0 in favor of Zionic. We just got to get that switched around, but. We're at Hollow Bastion for game number 2. That's center platform doing a good deal of work as the K-Roll looking for the grab, trying to get the Crom to move towards them and waits for the Aether. The cannonball was perfectly placed. And again, K-Roll, the king of trickery, is going to do well enough to get that first stock at a relatively decent pace.
Yeah, but at least now we finally did get to see a little crack in the belly armor there. I mean, again, you still have a good bit of ways to go before you fully break it, but you know, we're starting to see some contact being made from Kronos Spade as now they look to put in a little bit more work as they do have the 100 percentile in the red now for K. Rool, but K. Rool still just laying down the damage, forces their opponent off stage, and unfortunately, Kronos Spade can't recover.
Yeah, and the thing is, Zionic knows not to go for anything even remotely risky. You don't need to challenge Crom off the stage because you already know this guy is going to be going for those Chromicides, and you don't want to be caught in the wake of that. As Zionic now holding shield, no reason to engage. Again, you can keep your distance. You have the tools to do it. You have the crown. You have the cannonball. You have the means to sort of trash that recovery altogether, and the fat splash in the middle of the stage. Down smash to finish it off. Zionic is going to go up 2-0.
Oh yeah, that belly is dangerous. Again, if you don't get that thing broken, it is constantly going to be a nuisance for you. As now we do see Zionic going up now 2-0 over Kronos Spade and doing so spectacularly, showing us how to use that K. Rool. And you know, again, we love to talk about K. Rool, I specifically, and I'll let you know something, you know, about the Southern Hemisphere region of the Smash community. Whenever we come down here, we go to Florida or we go to Louisiana, K. Rool goes from being a crocodile to a gator real quick.
That is very true, and I can only imagine that is a cultural point for y'all.
Yes.
So I definitely appreciate. I'm not even going to trash y'all for that, definitely. But man, oh man, I will say the emotional support alligator that showed up at the Phillies playoff game definitely deserves a shout out, and I'd like to think that that's K. Rool for somebody out there in the Northeast. Nevertheless, we are going to F, and we are waiting on Paulers.
Now that one is Taco Shanti and 9pet9. That's who
Indeed it is
going for Group F, and that was the Bowser Rob matchup on PS2 that I think we were supposed to see, and then lost connection, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct, and yeah, it should be an interesting matchup again. Battle of the heavies making themselves known in this region, and certainly, yeah, you gotta love that. I love me some grapplers. Don't get me wrong, and now we are getting the Bowser Ditto. There can only be one King Koopa. We'll decide who it is at Kalos.
Yeah, and you know what? I would love to say that no turtles were harmed in the making of this production, but I mean, when you have Bowser v. Bowser, it's inevitable. One of these turtles has got to go.
Oh yeah, no, there's it's like Highlander. There can be only one, so we gotta go ahead and air dodge Flying Fortress back to the stage, but onto the stage that is well exploitable. And Taco Shanti putting on a show, taking advantage of every last bit of landing lag. And you get the F smash to go with it. That is an immediate KO at 20%. As dominant as you could possibly hope for, Captain A.
Yeah, and you know the closest we have gotten to an action, yeah, that drop kick is all it's going to take that stock off. But you know, this is actually our first like official doppelganger matchup, and the closest thing we have gotten so far was the Ness versus Lucas. I want to say in day 1, and ever since, or that might have been day 2, but ever since then we have yet to have like a true doppelganger. This is the first time.
Yeah, no, this is the first real Ditto. You're absolutely right, and I mean Taco Shanti is going for these big smash attacks, but again, they're all calculated risks. They're not even going for anything that's super risky. You're just taking advantage of landing lag. 9pet9 is showing a lot of impatience getting back down to the stage, and Taco Shanti's Super Taco is correct. Yeah, you're just exploiting that. So if Taco Shanti is just able to get out of the way of those down airs, you're doing just fine. And I mean, dude, if this is how you want to be, you want to teabag while you're down 1 stock to 3. That's on you, bro. But whatever happens after that, that's yeah, that happens sometimes. Catch a body. I don't even know what to tell you, man. Some lessons are best learned outside of school is all I'm going to say about that. Taco Shanti is playing the teacher this time.
Oh, they're so cheeky. That was probably the cheekiest finish I think we've seen today, or actually in throughout the league. You know, throughout the series, throughout days 1, 2, and now 3, that would have had to be one of the cheekiest. Just because we've seen some taunts, you know, we've seen some funnies, we had some gaffes, some laughs, but that right there was hilarious. I mean, you get the browser crawl, you crawl all the way over to the other Bowser, and honestly, I understand where they're coming from because you know they started out Bowser versus Rob, and now all of a sudden you want to switch to Bowser. You want to come to my neighborhood. You want to come to my pick. Well, at the end of the day, when you have that doppelganger matchup, like you said, there can only be one, and it comes down to who's the better Bowser. And you know what? I just honestly think Takalo Shanti was just defending their territory on that one.
Yeah, man, Bowsers are problematic. I'm just gonna put that out there, bro. They are some crazy nonsense. Zionic needs to be ready on that tech. Perhaps an exploitable part of their game as Kronos Spade goes to the Joker. Arsene is out and looking to take advantage with that counter. Just a little bit better. And Zionic, again, not ready on the tech below the stage. You got to be ready with your fingers on the shoulder buttons, kid, because Kronos Spade may well have found the key to unlocking this King K. Rool.
Again, there's nothing more painful. I guess physically and metaphorically about being absolutely smashed into the stage itself, being sent straight down into the blast zone. Those are some of my favorite finishes, and they're just so much fun to watch. And I know K. Rool is feeling that one. Meanwhile, they're getting ready to feel this Arsene, although they are able to recover and find themselves back center stage. And again, we've talked about how K. Rool has an advantage here on Final Destination. At least they did going up against the Kirby from round number 1. But I don't know if they're going to get much advantage here against Joker and Arsene.
Yeah, it is a 2-on-1. As unfair as that sounds, all's fair in love and smash. Got to be ready on that stage tech. However, taking the hit in order to absorb the very last bit of Zionic's recovery. Smart play there by Kronos Spade. I mean, dressed to kill and playing to thrill. 2 stocks to 1 now as Zionic is able to take the stock off of Kronos Spade. Certainly not a foregone conclusion, but still a little bit of work for Zionic to do.
Yeah, just a little bit, but I gotta say I do like the Joker pick, you know, coming out, you know, against the King K. Rool because again we saw them try to find different answers, and unfortunately it just was not working out in their favor. However, this Joker pick just seems to be the right selection here for Kronos Spade, and now they get to feel the wrath of the belly armor, and we very well could get an even game, 1 stock to 1. Although the recovery is there, the crown is out, it doesn't connect, and now we're back center stage again, and Arsene is now gone.
And that's the whole thing, is able to get that off of the up air, and the challenge, the gauntlet being thrown by Zionic, waiting for the challenge to be accepted as Kronos Spade tries to charge in. You're going to want to utilize that ground speed as Joker, that is for certain. But if Zionic is able to do this, then we have not just seen their skill on display, we've also seen their mental, which is very key for going deep in these brackets here, Captain A.
Hey, do you know why that the up air from King K. Rool deals so much heavy damage?
Because it's got a big old head, man. What do you want?
Because the head weigh heavy whomever wear the crown.
Yeah, you got them neck muscles worked out. Real talk. You got some Zangief-esque traps on King K. Rool, but it's going to be an F smash that winds up taking it. Kronos Spade survives a deluge of offense from Zionic at the very end, and I believe this would be the first time that we have seen a set with 2 digits on either side of the scoreboard. This is the first one that won't be a sweep, I believe.
Yeah, I honestly can't. Again, if my recollection is correct, this is the first one that isn't a sweep and will be the first game to go to game number 4. And honestly, I'm all here for it because now, again, you know, K. Rool, they started playing with their food a little bit. Let's be honest. We saw it in the previous game. Even before that, they were playing with their food. And now this time they decided to play with Joker and they started to choke on it. Now, we're going to head back to Taco Shanti, 9 Pet 9. And I think they learned their lesson. They're not going to go into the territory of King Koopa again. They are going to go back to the Rob pick, our robotic operational buddy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If we are going to see more offstage play in this set, then perhaps the lesson needs to be learned from last game. The Zionic could very well have taken it 3-0 were it not for the inability to detect those stage spikes. We saw it twice, and you'll see the indicator, by the way, Captain A, below the ledge. If you see someone get hit into the stage, if there is a green light upon impact, that means it is techable. That means you can mitigate the impact, absorb the knockback that would have been your opponent's as a result of that attack. You get to absorb it and recover back to ledge. You get to mitigate all of that and stay still. So if you're then able to recover back to ledge with relative ease, if you're able to hit that tech and hit the shoulder button with decent enough timing in order to do so. So no such instance of that there, as Taco Shanti is going to go up 3 stocks to 2. That being said, in the neutral game, I got to say 9pet9 holding his own far better than he was the past 2 games.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, they just got played around for that up smash. They were charging the up smash, and Bowser just casually dropped back to the ground and, you know, decided to mitigate that ASAP. And now they are feeling a taste of their own medicine. 9pet9 having to work from up top, finds their way back to the ground. And here comes the side B. It connects on a mid platform, and that will be the second stock now gone from 9pet9.
Ain't playing no games. He's just going to connect 4 in that doll piece. And now 3 stocks to 1. Taco Shanti looking to confirm a dominant win over 9pet9. Only suffering, I believe, 20 percentage points worth of damage thereabouts on that second stock. And this Rob has yet to find a real answer for this Bowser, as Taco Shanti is proving to be a force to be reckoned with here. We're in the land of the heavies out here in Greensboro, man.
Honestly, this is where I need to be. Maybe I need to go check out Greensboro, because I seem to fit in quite well amongst the heavies. I like it here. Meanwhile, Rob, unfortunately, is not going to like it on the heels of Bowser from that drop kick, taking the final stock, taking the win, and taking the series. Taco Shanti takes it all in 3.
Bro. That's a little much. Taco Shanti, nothing short of impressive, first of all, because that is not an easy matchup to take full advantage of. You have to be able to mix up your command grabs, your regular grabs, and your buttons at a relatively decent pace, and you have to deal with the gyro. We did not see the implementation of Rob's game plan all that much to any sort of real effect to where it was able to disrupt Taco Shanti's offensive maneuverability. And that's problematic, because Taco Shanti, don't get me wrong, earned their place without a doubt. That is a 3-0. That will go down in the books. If you're that Rob, you have a little bit to work on, and it's mostly going to come down to how well you're able to implement that gyro. But no such problems on the part of this K. Rool, who, again, you're talking about heavy as the head that wears the crown. Zionic is looking for a crown at Greensboro Regionals and is 1 game away from realizing that potential dream. 1 way away from an automatic spot within them.
Well, let's see if they can make it happen. You got to remember, Kronos Spade clearly not going down without a fight. They managed to take the second game for themselves, and they are going to look to try and make a reverse sweep happen, which would be the first of the entire league since we started 2 days ago. So let's see if this will be the first here for Kronos Spade, but they're going to get put into the dirt right into that uppercut, and they're going to have to force the recovery there and activate Arsene.
And now the forward smash almost sending him off to the stage. The power of Arsene to move K. Rool to that extent, and the Katakarn counter is going to send him even further. Now we are even up in terms of damage, but again, the projectile game could very well be the difference. Joker has to close it down with their body. K. Rool, well, that's using your head. 3 stocks to 2 as Zionic draws first blood in this game 4, the first one of the night.
Yeah, and you also got to keep in mind, 103 damage. They were even in damage, but 103% damage on K. Rool is not as much as 103% damage on Joker. It's a little different. K. Rool a little bit heavier. He's got a little bit more bust in the gut, and not to mention the belly armor still has yet to be broken. Throughout the entire time we have seen K. Rool, I don't think we've seen a single belly armor be broken throughout the entire league, actually.
Not as of yet. It's certainly in the realm of possibility. I just don't know if Joker is the character with which you're doing it. Just not a whole lot of pressure on armor. You can do shield pressure stuff with Joker, but it's certainly you need to be throwing it out at a little bit more of a deluge than Kronos Spade is at present. Now, 2 stocks apiece, still very much in the control of Zionic at the moment as Kronos Spade sits at 133. One big hit will send him flying. I don't think you want to be fighting him necessarily when you have Arsene out, just as a matter of self-preservation, but you know that Joker's going to want to come to you to begin with. You are in the position to counterpunch, and your K rule, your punches count for more than Joker's. Let's be real. Arsene or not, and realizing that, let's Joker charge in, shield the attack, and go ahead and get that back throw. It is absolutely free real estate. Zionic, 1 stock away now from regionals.
Yeah, that they are, but take a look at this. You now have Kronos Spade trying to answer back, trying to even up the stocks here. They do have Zionic right now currently at 91%. Again, they're going to have to make a little bit more happen, but Arsene is now available, and here they come. They should, and hopefully for themselves, will be able to confirm this last stock, but again, this K rule is just being an absolute nuisance right now as they have to recover off the side, and now the platforms are gone with the wake-up damage in tow, and now the down smash as well does connect, and we're just about even in damage percentage right now. Zionic can end things here and now, but they missed the punch.
It's all good. It just wasn't true is all, and it's a mistake that you're able to recover from. Even if you see the stock, it's only one, right? Like you have another one to give. And looking for the nair, you might as well just go for the quickest options that you possibly can. And now you get them adapted to the quicker one. You're able to sort of yeet the feet into the face of Kronos Spade. And it was a valiant effort on that Joker's part. But Zionic says you will bow to the king.
Oh, absolutely. And no other king is quite as good as King K. Rool. They came in, they saw, and they conquered over a span of 4 matches, but also got to give it up to Chrono as well, because they managed, again, the only player so far that we've seen to take a series beyond a 3-0 sweep. They took us to game 4, nearly took us to game 5, but at the end of the day, again, you know, the King K. Rool there was just so dominant. They played so well, and they actually really changed up their play styles. I mean, for the first 2 matches, it seemed like it was a lot of projectiles, a lot of utility, throwing out, you know, the muskets, throwing out the crown over and over and over again. But on that final map there on Animal Crossing, I got to tell you, they were really bringing the brutal strength. They were going for a lot of that melee damage, a lot of throws, a lot of grapples. And you know what? We didn't see as many muskets or crowns. They were able to change up their gameplay, take the Joker out of their comfort zone a little bit there, and, you know, force them to go hand to hand. And I think that kind of threw Joker off their game a little bit.
Yeah, and that was the unfortunate thing. You're able to sit and shield and let the game come to you. You're generally doing okay. A very regal affair as the Bowser and K rules are able to qualify for regionals. And that's just a lesson for all of us to learn. If you come at the king, you best not miss. We're going to get more action from Greensboro on the other side of this break. Don't go away. You're watching Smash at VESL. Welcome back to Smash at VESL alongside Captain at Salka. I'm Stu, the announcer, and we're still hanging out in Greensboro. We're rolling through, and again, we have another intriguing matchup. We've had a couple of team kills thus far, and this time it will be at the expense of one of the people from West Forsyth as we get CJ going up against a human. Great tag, by the way. But on the other side of it, Western Guilford and Reedsville will be going at it. Gonar versus Desai.
Yeah, and I'm really finding it difficult to see, how these matches are going to get any better. I mean, I would love to see at least one match go the distance, go all the way to game 5. And so far, the furthest we've gotten is to a game 4, which is great. That's wonderful, but I want to see a game 5. So hopefully, as we continue on here, we're going to get one of those as we get ready to head into our first matchup. Again, we have Desai and Gonar to start things off here. A Joker and a Zelda pick to start things off.
Yeah, and Zelda, one of those.
Oh wait, Princess Peach. My apologies.
That Princess Peach. It's all good. I mean, look, it's a blonde lady. I get it. You kind of have to differentiate between the two at some point. But either way, the Joker and the Peach. It's an interesting dynamic that these two present, especially since you're talking about someone who does rely on the projectiles, who relies on the ability to microspace, especially in Peach. Wouldn't even say necessarily reliant on the projectiles. It's more to supplement the ability to throw out buttons in midair and really just control not only the space around her, but what occurs in the space around her. Because she's one of those characters that can turn a disadvantage into advantage with but the press of a button. And even though Joker's able to negotiate that, it's something that Desai is going to have to look out for.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that we have established that this is in fact Princess Peach, I want to throw out there those vegetables she's throwing out there. Are those radishes or turnips? What is she?
Those are turnips, my friend.
Turnips. Okay, yeah, I had the same debate, and I was like, that is a turnip with a smiley face. It's got to be. Regardless, we're getting right back into the action now, and it looks as though Princess Peach is gonna fall into the abyss and lose their first stock. With our sins now finally going to be running out, and 91% onto the Joker, a revenge stock could be around the corner.
Yeah, just a rough stock to have to give up, needing to get a little bit better of a judgment as to what Peach is able to do in recovery, especially when you're going the other way. As a closed eye, I thought that was a stitch for a second, excuse me. There are certain increments of damage that are available to you depending on the face that is shown on the turnip. But as we're seeing here, it's back airs galore from the Joker. You're gonna want to keep that at least in the back of your pocket. It's one of the few moves that our Senless Joker can pull out in order to confirm KOs. We have seen it in a few past tournaments, many of them, I think throughout the 4-year history of Joker being in this game. But again, Gonar not doing enough to measure out the distance upon their recovery, jutting out just a little bit too much, and is getting punished for it. Desai is more than happy to take these stocks, but ultimately it's going to be on Gonar to fix up the recovery woes.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm surprised that this Joker is still in here at 179% damage. I mean, it's not going to take much. Just throw a happy turnip on him, and he's going to be going into the blast zone. But again, Desai is not going to be getting rid of this first stock so lightly. They are literally holding on to their first stock with an iron fist.
Yeah, and just making themselves super scarce. Eventually he's going to see it courtesy of that dash attack. And now is going to play a little bit of the RNG game as we saw them going for turnip pulls. And, that's just unfortunate. We're talking about problems off the stage, and we're seeing that come to fruition yet again after the side B into the stage, which didn't do anything, and then that only caused a drop afterwards. End frames being what they were, didn't have enough time to recover and bring yourself into a position to recover with the up B. At that point, it's probably just better to drift out from the stage, stop holding in so much, because that is a problem that you'll see a lot of players have, is they want to get back to stage so bad that they just kind of hold in Well, guess what? It gets you closer to the stage, but it also makes your path to recovery predictable. If you're above the stage and you're holding in, that makes you all the more susceptible to get hit with a forward air. If you're below the stage and you're holding into the stage, then you're only just messing up your own recovery because you're going to up B, you're going to have less resistance not going into a rock wall than you will going into it. And we saw that, I think, about 3 times over from Gonar, which is just a shame because it is an otherwise halfway decently played game. If you're able to pick up a stock take a little bit early, you're talking about a much different complexion of that game number one.
Yep, well, now we're getting ready to head into our next matchup here. It is going to be A Human taking on CJ, and it's going to be a Kid Link, one of my personal favorites, going up against Pit, one of my not-so-personal favorites.
I got you. Hey, you know what? All the Pit stuff, I got you there. But yeah, Young Link, an absolutely insane character. Like, hey, good job making it through my arrows and my bombs. Now let me reward you with some of the best aerial boxing options in the entire game. Like, this character really just got everything. And you have some people doing really well with this character for quite some time. Most notably, Toast up in Ohio was making the global ranks with this guy. And a lot of characters, a lot of people doing well with Young Link even to this day. But as the jab is going to come out, last hit of which will send a human up and outwards. But yeah, a human doing decently enough on this Pit, enough to get the KO with an F smash from the middle of the stage. And again, just piling on that damage. With Pit, it really can be death by 1,000 cuts. That doesn't necessarily preclude Skipper, some of those cuts being bigger than the others.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I think this entire league has just come out to make me eat my words on Pit here, because we have seen 2 Pits, both of which have gotten dubs back to back, and now it looks like it possibly could even be a third here. As this first matchup, you could see that CJ has been, or rather, or Human, apologies, has been doing really, really well on this Pit pick, and they are just zoning so perfectly. Again, not falling for any of Young Link's zoning either, able to really block and then pick and prod at the damage of this Young Link. But meanwhile, you do see that CJ is trying to make a little bit of a comeback here as that down air does manage to land.
Oh, well done with the up. I thought that might have been in the dead zone where you are able to exploit that down B automatic shield, but no, it's well done by a human in order to make that happen and get back to the stage safely with all 3 stocks intact. As that up air is one of those tools that Young Link likes to use in order to confirm a lot of these stocks. But a human going to send him off the stage yet again. Big swings of the sword is all you need sometimes. And even though CJ is able to take the first stock off of a human saying, you know what, I'm perfectly fine with that. You can take that one. I got 2 of yours.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they have the 1 stock lead. They know it, so they can get away with it. And now they can play a little bit more relaxed. But I think that we are seeing a human really just take it 1 stock at a time. Again, they're playing it as the game kind of progresses. They're playing in the moment. So again, we haven't seen them go for anything really cheesy. They haven't done anything cheeky like we saw maybe a little bit earlier in today's matches. You know, they're just sticking to a competitive spirit. And you have to respect that from a human.
Absolutely. And that F tilt, again, providing just enough range, spacing that perfectly off of that roll. A human doing well to, again, just stick and move, and you're not staying still. You're jumping around. You're making yourself scarce when it really counts. And you know, most importantly, that you outrange Young Link. You are not helpless in the face of the young hero of time at all. And even though you're going for those down airs, it still takes a while to come out, so you are susceptible to getting caught with that anti-air up smash of all things. And certainly the confirms with the up air. We'll have to see how a human chooses to administer the coup de grace. Could it be off of a back throw? Not quite, but still just enough to cause trouble. That's going to do it. Goodness gracious. A human causing absolute bedlam below the stage. And that is good enough for a Game 1 victory.
I mean, why not though? I mean, you're going all the way off stage. They know they have the one stock advantage, so yeah, let's take it. Let's take it off stage. We both go down, but eventually one is going to stay down, and that was going to be the young Link there. So again, a GG, well played by both. But again, that first round is going to go the way of a human. So again, some more fantastic pit play. That has been 3 pits so far, and they have all done well. Let's see if they can keep it up as that series progresses. But meanwhile, we're going to head back over to Gonar and Desai to check in with them. And a friendly reminder, it was Desai that managed to come out on top with that Joker and Arsene, respectively, against the Princess Peach. So I'm wondering if there's going to be any character switches. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a character switch off of Peach.
Wouldn't be terribly surprising, right? Because it just seemed like they were having a little bit of trouble implementing the game plan. And even though I do think that a lot of that was off of error from Gonar, I wouldn't have blamed him for being discouraged away from it necessarily. Though I will give Gonar credit, doing enough, I guess, to say that there is something there, something that could be fixed. And now we're going to game number 2. Again, we're going to see if the crown of Princess Peach is able to take out. It's going to be able to take on, the dagger of Joker.
Yeah, and you know what? We already talked about earlier, the susceptibility of, a lot of these floaty characters. And, Peach, much like Sora, like we talked about earlier, is very floaty. So, again, you're spending a lot of time in the air. And a Joker in Arsene is a character that loves to chase. So, and they can chase you in the air, which, again, makes you pretty vulnerable if you're a floaty character, much like Peach is. And you can already see Peach had an early lead, but as soon as Arsene was activated and they were able to take the fight into the sky, those damage percentages started to even out a little bit.
Yeah, just a tad, but Desai is able to chase there all the way to the ledge. And Gonar finds herself in trouble again. That is 4 successive stocks taken by Desai. No easy answers for this Joker thus far, Captain A.
I mean, Joker's not an easy character to counter. I mean, you definitely have your Joker counters, but again, even when you have the Joker counter, it's never going to be easy, especially when you have someone that knows how to use the Joker utility, somebody that knows the mechanics, the ins and outs, and Desai clearly is one of those players. Meanwhile, they are still holding on to that first stock at 170 damage now as Arsene comes out none too soon to try and help Desai hold on to this first stock.
And playing super aggressive, even at 170, is able to collect that F smash. What a showing from Desai, as still piling on even more damage, willing to knuck up with Arsene at his side. It's easy to do it when it's 2-on-1, I suppose, but even then, you're still putting yourself at risk. You still got to risk it for the biscuit, and Desai, you got to think, is eating good tonight.
Yep, that they are. And you know what? I got a lot of respect for Desai so far between games 1 and 2 because they're a competitor. Again, they're not doing anything cheesy. They're not doing anything cheeky. They're just bare bones playing Smash. They're getting right to the fight, so to speak, and they have been doing a fantastic job, and they're definitely not pulling punches either. So again, Desai is definitely here for the win. They want to go to regionals.
Is going to collect just a little bit more to get Arsene, utilizing that down B to build up meter, and now it is going to be the up air that proves to be the coup de grace for game number 2. Desai, 1 game away from regionals, and this Joker is looking good.
Yeah, that they are. And again, the Princess Peach on Final Destination against the Joker is not ideal, but at the same time, Peach against Joker isn't ideal either. Now, don't get me wrong, in this particular matchup, I said Zelda going into this one because, I have seen the Zelda pick come out against the Joker before. I have seen the Zelda zoners, and they do really, really well, and they're able to hold their own against the Joker, which is why I was kind of taken aback. I was like, wait a minute, that's Peach, who, again, is a zoner in their own right, but at the same time, I just don't know if they have the effectiveness to take on such a Joker as we have seen from Desai. I mean, clearly they are just, a cut above when it comes to their Joker character pick. But with that being said, let's get ready to head back on now to our other match, a human taking on CJ, as we get ready to head back to see how those matchups will continue to progress.
Well, it's interesting that you mention that because Peach wouldn't necessarily say a zoner, but she definitely has those tools, right? She has the projectiles. She has the ability to do that. But she seems to use those projectiles mainly not necessarily to control neutral space, but to supplement the melee options that she has. She likes to use that turn up certainly to throw, but also for Z drops to confirm combos, to put people into hit stun so that she can confirm off of her close up button. So now as we're seeing sort of a similar strategy here being implemented, I think, by CJ, who's going to try to Z drop bombs a little bit more and try to catch a human jumping. See, like whatever it is that you can do to go away from simply pressing buttons in the face of Pit, because A, you're going to lose the battle of range no matter what. And B, if you're afraid to get in and you let Pit establish his grab game, then you're just in for a world of hurt, because you're already not going to win the timing part of it, and you're definitely not out muscling that side B, especially at ledge.
Oh, absolutely not. And I mean, Pit, you know, for all that they're worth with their range, this Pit in particular, a human, is boxing. I mean, granted, they have swords, but they are throwing some serious hands at range, and they are landing a lot of their F smashes as well, and they are just applying so much damage so quickly. They are literally effective at any range, and you can see they love going to work there, and they are using those counters to near perfection. You know, it's very rare that I have seen a human miss one of those counters, and even at high damages like this, like we have just seen, you know, even with the Joker pick that we saw in Desai, even at high damage percentages, they are still just as deadly and just as effective.
Right, because even though, like, it's not even strictly a counter, it's just kind of a shield for melee attacks and a reflector for projectiles. That mitigates so many of CJ's options, and it's making him go away from it, even though he has to know in the back of his mind that shield in itself has a shelf life. Like, you can't just throw that thing out forever. If you winds up breaking it, then it's going to take a little bit for it to come back, and you will get an indicator that it is, but you got to get back to stage first, and right now, the willingness to go for these up airs and keep Young Link in the air could very well be another key for a human's victory, and got to keep in mind that that side B can reflect things as well.
Yeah, and even though they're still, you know, they're even 2 stocks apiece, again, it's a long way to go, but I gotta tell you, I like the way that CJ's looking a lot more this time around than in their first bout in game number 1. I think now they're starting to really, you know, kind of figure out what a human has been bringing to the table, and you know what, I think they're starting to figure out the formula. As you can see, those damage percentages were getting a little close, but then again, a human had to be a cut above, they had to get the advantage, and now they do. They get the 1 stock over CJ yet again.
Unreal. And now looking for the F tilt, not going to find it there for a human, maybe getting a little button happy, and CJ is going to take full advantage. All of a sudden, this Young Link finds himself right back into the thick of this one.
Oh, absolutely. Like I had said, they are looking a lot better this time around, and I think they have downloaded the playbook here. I think they've downloaded this playlist coming from a human on this Pit. And like you had said, you know, they are using that shield a lot, and you know what? I think they're starting to read it. I think they're starting to recognize when to expect that shield to come out, and they're working around it instead of falling susceptible to a lot of these counters. And look at this, you know, even on the last stock here, the damage percentages are looking more even than they have so far.
Yeah, getting a little reckless with the side B off of the stage as well. And even though you see a human going for some good stuff, we even saw the footstool at ledge does a lot more mental damage than it does physical, let me tell you. But going for these side Bs, I think, is a little reckless. A human needs to watch that, because that is something that CJ can punish very easily. Still implementing that reflector just fine, so maybe trying to get him away from the arrows a little bit, but it gets you out of disadvantage so easily. Was looking for the forward air. It did not come out in time, and instead falls victim to Young Link's up B.
Yeah, that it does. But now look at this, a beautiful maneuver here coming from the Pit, able to apply even more damage. And to be honest, CJ can't afford to take any more damage. They are at 142%, and they are struggling to stay on stage here as they do force Pit back to center stage. And now here comes the down air. It does not land, and Pit will force Young Link back off stage, but the reversal on the wake-up damage from CJ is able to turn the tables and now put Pit on the edge.
And was trying to wait it out above the stage, but is not going to be able to do so. And Chris, all you need is a chip in a chair, and with a couple of cards falling his way, is dealt a winning hand in this game number 2. A human is going to rue that one because there were very real opportunities to put that one away. And yet, the one time he went away from the reflector, the one time that he did not trust the down B, was probably the time that he needed to do so the most because he saw him coming in with that dash attack numerous times at the ledge. He knew that CJ was thirsty for the kill, knew that CJ was a little button happy. That's where you start to use it. You go ahead, absorb it, go and pull out the Uno reverse card, even if it's just a tilt at that point. It gives you space, it lets you reset neutral, and it lets you dominate the space between the two of you with your arrows, and potentially even lets you jump in for a drag down nair into a kill.
Well, now we're heading back to Desai and Gonar yet again. Desai on the Joker. Gonar on Princess Peach. Gonna stay tried and true. And we're back on Final Destination. And I honestly wish Princess Peach the best of luck in this scenario.
Yeah, it didn't turn out well prior, is all I can say. But Desai, we'll have to see, because Gonar is keeping this close at the very least. And that's the thing. Gonar's problems do not stem from an ineptitude on the stage necessarily. It's not from a technical inaptitude by any stretch of the imagination. I would say that it's a few strategic mishaps, such as trying to attack with Arsene out in the first place, because you're trying to avoid Arsene. At this point, you got to know you don't want to be in a 2v1. It doesn't matter that this is Joker's weakest persona. More than enough to do damage to you because his persona in Arsene is just stronger than yours with Toad. Though, we'll say Toad doing a little bit of work there just now.
I mean, this is Toad and Smash. If we were talking about Toad and Mario Kart, it'd be a different story. Toad and Mario Kart hits different. Fight me on it all the live long day. I don't care. Toad hits different in Mario Kart, but in Smash, not so much. Regardless, that is going to be the first stock taken off of Joker, and I gotta say, that is actually a big improvement because we have seen quite a few times that first stock didn't come off until the very last stock of Gonar in previous matches or at all. So again, the fact that they managed to, nearly even this one up, I gotta say, we're seeing some improvement from Gonar.
Yeah, we're seeing the willingness to jump from Gonar, and I don't mind these short hops necessarily, but I think I'm seeing too many full hops. These are reactable for Desai, and most importantly, you're able to chase them down. You have the range to do it with that neutral air, with that forward air. You can just swipe that knife, and you're perfectly fine chasing down Gonar, even if they do have float shenanigans on their side, which we have not seen nearly enough of from Gonar, is the ability to implement float into their game plan and move either laterally or even just be able to avoid the melee down below off of those full hops if you insist on doing them.
Yeah, now you can see there, both players were whiffing for quite a bit there, but then finally, the up smash or the up air does land for Princess Peach, and now Arsene once again back out. That is twice on, at least twice on this single stock now that Arsene has made an appearance, and now finally they come out to confirm that second stock off of Princess Peach, and now once again, this Joker from Desai does have that one stock lead as they plan to use the most of this Arsene while it is out, but they will get sent to the blast zone. We are now down to one stock apiece.
Yeah, and it's going to be a swing of the golf club that could very well make the difference as, again, Toad making their presence known. Throw to give himself a little bit of space. Desai having a little bit of trouble getting back, and you're going to have to knuck up if you want to make up this difference. You're doing so with Arsene, and there you go. Now you're getting a timing for how the Toad is being implemented. Was almost the great equalizer there for Gonar, but again, it can be downloaded, it can be fixed. As Desai getting tagged around just a little too much for their liking, Captain A.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit too much, but hold the phone! Gonar, the Princess Peach, able to answer back against Joker on Final Destination. I think the gloves have now come off of Princess Peach as they're able to take their first win against Desai.
Oftentimes I will point at a mistake that the leading player has made in order to get a victory, right? But in this case, I wouldn't even say it was Desai that lost it. This was Gonar winning it. Like, you saw a more concentrated effort to rely on Toad. While I'm getting countered a lot, I have a counter as well, and I can use it at literally any time. I don't need to rely on a persona or a meter in order to get it. So seeing that being implemented, Desai getting a little button happy. Maybe you need to mix in a few more of those throws, which he was doing just fine. Necessarily, not necessarily neglecting the throw, but still maybe when you see that toad come out, you got to get him away from that. You got to stop him from pressing the B button. And if you're going to make Peach beat you, you need to make Peach beat you off of float cancel shenanigans, off of pressing buttons, off of floating in neutral air and being able to space yourself out. Like Peach is one of those characters that can microspace. People forget that because you're able to do it with such precision, moving back and forth with the float. So when you're seeing Gonar neglect that and still winning, you know that there's potential to do so much more. We'll see how much Gonar can unlock in the remaining potential 2 games.
And you know what? I love how scrappy that these matches are starting to get. Again, we have that group there from Group J, between Gonar and Desai going into a match number 4. And now we are back with a human and CJ the Pit versus the Young Link. And there is 1 win apiece here. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time that we've seen that 1-1 split so far today, so far tonight, or even throughout the league. Again, we have yet to see that back and forth really come out yet.
Yeah, but we are seeing a human, at the very least, use that advantage state. This is a game of ebbs and flows, and right now it is absolutely flowing for a human. At 63%, is able to take that first stock, and he's not done yet, Skipper.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, this Pit, a human, is just so quick on the draw, and, they really love to turn their defense into offense, so that way when they throw up the bubble or they throw up the shield, they're able to, eat a little bit of damage, and as soon as that shield goes out, they follow it up with a very successful attack, and now you can see that up air does land. Going for the second! It lands as well, but they're not able to confirm at 130% damage! Another whiff from Link has been taken advantage of as the side B from Pit now lands, and nearly evening the damage percentage. A human still holding on to their first stock.
Yeah, and again, utilizing that down B, that's how you want to do it. If you think that your opponent is going to chase you into the sky with a button, that's where you break out the swords, and all of a sudden, disadvantage can become advantage if they're landing with any form of lag. The arrows going to come out and be utilized at the very least to tell CJ where they can't go. Almost a full stock lead, might as well be. But this Pit is going to hit extra hard with full rage now.
Oh, absolutely. Again, you can see that the damage percentages are getting ever so closer and closer. And not to mention, this is knockout potential for both, as finally that up smash does land, sending that Pit into the blast, taking their first stock. But now it will be Pit taking the revenge stock, now putting Young Link CJ on their very last.
No real need to drop the shield there for a human, but then again, you're getting that other stock off of the Angel platform. No harm, no foul. We can overlook it if you ain't gonna make it matter, a human. But that comes down to whether or not you can close this thing out right here. And down throw, nothing really able to be getting off of that. However, able to get something out of it the second time with the Nair in pursuit going through the air. It'll be interesting to see what happens when these Pits start doing these drag down airs. As we almost saw right there, didn't get the knockback that you needed to confirm into much of anything else, but you can start confirming that into a down smash in a couple more percent.
Yeah, right now it's just a game of catch-up for this Young Link CJ. Again, ever since giving up that first stock, he's just been trailing behind a human, and you can see they're going right back to the center stage, trying to apply that utility with the bombs, and, it has been a human coming back with the counters. The recovery is good, but we're seeing a scenario much like we saw in game number 1, where a human knows they have a stock advantage, and they can play a little bit more risky. They can play a little bit more with this CJ, knowing that they still have a stock for insurance.
Yeah, but right now, just kind of sitting back, taking it slow. I don't think you need to be challenging the side B. And yeah, there you go. The shield was able to regenerate in time, and it will be CJ being strung up on account of their own device. That is a rough way to lose game number 3. A human is going to go up, and CJ does have time to react for this game number 4. But we have to see how CJ is able to adapt and overcome, because this is not an easy task for a young Link. This I'll grant you. But also, you have quicker options. You've been able to take advantage every single time when you saw a human going for those forward airs off stage, right? Kept getting tagged with that up B, and because it just comes out a little bit quicker, starts up a little faster, and now we're going to see how maybe Desai and Gonar are able to learn the lessons from their prior matches and see, because the name of the game here, Captain A, is whose buttons can come out quicker, especially on Battlefield, where you can get teed up for some big damage.
Well, let's see who's going to be giving and receiving that big damage as we are on our way here now into Game 4, one of the only matches to go to Game 4. And of course, our other group as well, respectively, Group L, which is a human and CJ, will be going to their 4th game after this one. Meanwhile, look at Desai. They're on the receiving end of the heavy damage so far here in Game 4, and it looks like Gonar is finally starting to come alive in this series.
Yeah, Gonar seems to be coming into his own, and now we're seeing the willingness to sort of wait and just kind of plug away with those turnips. And even though you're not even getting all that much help necessarily from RNGesus with these pulls, you're still doing just enough, right? Like, you're getting the damage that you need. You're doing the psychic damage that you need. You're telling them to watch out for these projectiles. So it's like, okay, well, guess what? I can shield these projectiles, and now I can do something that's potentially plus on block, because now you're dropping shield for something that I can sort of rush forward and take advantage of, which could well do so here even after seeding the stock.
Yeah, and honestly, I think what we're seeing right now is Desai where they're the most dangerous, and it's when they're in those high damage percentages, when they have that rage mode going. And I don't even think it's necessarily rage mode. I just think Desai plays better when there is pressure on. You have some players like that, some competitive players that just do better when their backs are up against the wall. And, you know, Desai, even though they lost their first stock, was still able to dish out 53%. And we have already seen in previous matches Desai take full stocks with up to 150% damage on to their name.
And now we're seeing even more being done as that Toad is going to come out and make their presence known. It's going to be a forward smash that almost takes Gonar off of the stage. It's 2 stocks apiece, and Desai taking the wheel of this game number 4. We see victory in Desai's sights, and it's going to take just a little bit extra to see this one through. I think Desai's got what it takes, Skipper.
You know, I think they do as well. And now that Arson's out, that's going to be all you need to follow that forward air up with an elimination, putting Princess Peach on their final start. Gonar is going to have to make some magic happen as they do get Joker into the 100th percentile. So that could be an opportunity there to find an opening and put this back at 1 stock apiece. But again, Desai, so good in these situations, still holding on here to their 2nd stock.
Yeah, remember how I said you don't want to fight Arsene if you have the choice? Sometimes you don't have a choice. The better Joker players will make you fight them with Arsene. They will chase you down to the ends of the earth. Get back here so I can kill you. But Gonar is going to answer right back. And with the dot eyes, that's the 2nd most powerful turnip that you can pull. Desai is going to eat every last bit of it for a good chunk of damage. And Gonar is going to need either some better pulls or some better tech in order to deal with the great equalizer that is Arsene right here, because I don't think you want to be knucking up right now.
No, and right now you can see Gonar doing a really fantastic job of avoiding Arsene so far. Again, they've been really using the floatiness of Princess Peach to get up and over a lot of these Arsene attacks, and they did take 1, but out of the 6 or 7 attacks that I've seen come out so far from the Arsene Joker combo, you know, barely few of them have managed to land, and now we're back even with the damage percentages as the smiley turnip now lands.
And it's going to be the down smash that winds up clearing the stage, evacuate the dance floor. Desai's putting on a solo show. 3-1 and a spot in regionals. What a heist by Desai.
Oh, absolutely. That was a fantastic game coming from Desai there. But again, I got to give it up to Gonar because from the very beginning, I was sleeping on Princess Peach, especially after the first 2 rounds. Joker goes up 2-0, and then all of a sudden, Gonar decides to wake up in game 3, take a game off the Joker, and then all of a sudden, we're starting to have more conversations about Princess Peach and being able to take Joker head on. And then all of a sudden, they woke up even still in game 4, taking that one to the ringer. That one could have gone, honestly, either way. It was about who was going to get that last hit in, and for a moment, it looked like it was Peach. Joker was at 100% damage. Then the turnip comes out on the edge guard. It lands. Joker's not looking in a good position, and all of a sudden, they're able to recover from the edge and then hit the down smash and confirm the final stock. So again, that one really could have gone either way, but again, Desai, they just had their eyes set on regionals, and they would not be denied. They are going to take the win. They take the series, and now they have earned their spot at the regional LAN.
It's going to be a tough go of it if you want to take down that Joker. And now, as we're going to get into our other set at some point, we still have to decide between a human and CJ. And looking forward to that, a human has done so well on this pit, and yet you're seeing the potential for counterplay from the young Link. Still, the difference seems to come down to what the character is able to give you in terms of range. And if you're young Link, that cannot be, because you do have the arrows, but they're being reflected right back at you. That was the difference. And now you're having to deal with your bombs not being as effective as you might like because they're not able to poke through. I think you're going to get more effectiveness out of the bombs throwing them upwards after winning stage advantage to begin with. Like, if you want to start implementing that into your game plan, you need to start poking out the weak spots in that down B, which, let's face it, a human has gotten so much mileage out of in terms of being a reflector and also a mitigator of melee damage. And now, perhaps as a stroke of inspiration, CJ has put on the mask and is going to try to employ the services of Arsene at some point himself, because we got ourselves Joker versus Pit.
Well, let's see how this one's going to go. We've already seen a Joker do some incredible things with Desai. Let's see if those incredible things can also come through for CJ. As again, we are in a game number 4, match point for a human. If they win this one out here, they will win the series and earn their spot at the regional LAN, as Arsene now is activated and they find themselves back center stage.
And now still trying to mix them up. At the very least, you might as well go with a different character, right? Because you're having to work so hard as young Link, and you're not really able to do it, but guess what Joker is able to do for you? You have that advantage with Arsene. You can cheese stocks, and you're able to get some KOs off of the top, again, off of the shortest ceiling in the competitive map list. Now, it's not like this pit is helpless either. You do have some tools. You're going to be able to get this KO with the forward throw at this percentage if you're able to turn around and get it. But again, we're seeing a human being a little button happy, going away from throws, and maybe not realizing the power that forward throw has for you. It's one of the few characters whose forward throw is significantly heftier than their back throw.
And you know what? I also think this is a really good switch up too for CJ, simply because one thing that we saw that was really doing damage to that young Link was the shield, was the reflector. And young Link, for the majority of their playbook, they rely a lot on those range attacks, the boomerangs, the flame arrows, did I say the boomerangs? The bombs. They rely a lot on that utility in order to really close gaps and deal damage. But with that shield out, it just sent everything right back to sender. It sent it right back to that young Link. So now you switch to a character who doesn't rely so much on those ranged attacks. So now you've made what has been a really solid winning point for Pit, not null and void, but a lot less effective.
Yeah, and it is a problematic state of affairs for a human who is still going to have to make this work out one way or another. Is doing a good job of catching these recoveries. You gotta get Joker to jumping at some point, right? Joker to stop jumping. Say that 10 times fast. Either way, it's I won't attempt it. If you want to be my guest, a human, however, is going to have to attempt to get this advantage state locked down, and you're going to have to do it without some of these riskier maneuvers, admittedly, because you only have so much of a shelf life, but you are taking aim for tournament dreams, and right now you're hitting nothing but bullseyes. One stock apiece, but human up 2-1. Victory is in sight.
Yeah, that it is. And now the down throw into the forward air there does connect. And now look at this. Joker beyond 50%. The arson does come out. The great equalizer, but they're going to have to take advantage if they are going to equalize. Again, this pit has the fire in their eyes. They want to go to regionals, and they're not going to let a character swap up stop them here. As you can see, that shield does come out. Not going to be able to do much as the opening from Arson has been exploited. And now the percentage is looking just about even as now Arsene is gone.
Like, I realize the down smash is a really good coverage move, but at the same time, you're seeing CJ land outside of that zone on a consistent basis. You're going to have to pursue at some juncture. If you want to play it safe, do it with an arrow. Get him to land inside that zone. Condition him to make sure that, hey, if you're trying to run away it's not going to happen. There's nowhere to run. You're not outrunning my arrows. And a human hitting the bullseye and taking it by a score of 3-1. Yet another pit in regionals here in North Carolina.
Yeah, and honestly, after watching that gameplay, I'm starting to think that maybe CJ should have started with the Joker, because it looked a lot closer. Honestly, it looked a lot more dangerous for a human there on a lot of those plays, because again, like you had even mentioned, oh, that was telegraphed. I even heard you say it, the shield, when it came out, they were able to read it. And again, that shield was not as effective against the Joker as it had been against that young Link. But still, like you had said, it is the difference of adaptation that separate the wheat from the better from the best, and the runner-ups from the champs. And that pit, they were able to adapt. They adapted very quickly. They go from playing 2 games against a young Link, playing against a Joker, going down 2 stocks, and then being able to make those adjustments in order to claw their way back into it. So again, a very phenomenal bout coming from a human. And again, this is going to be yet another pit player that we are going to have to keep our eyes out for at the regional lands.
Yeah, and you got to think, West Forsyth High School is well represented between CJ and a human. It's a shame that only one of them could make it. Such is the cruel nature of the bracket. But you got to think that those two are going to be labbing some things out in the meantime, making each other stronger, and hopefully bringing glory to West Forsyth at the Greensboro Regional. But we're going to see who else wants to spot in that bracket. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Here to smash at VESL. Welcome back to Smash here at VESL alongside Captain at Sulka. Of course, yeah, no, look at the bull rocking out right over there. Yeah, Captain at Sulka. Well, I'm Stu the announcer. Not nearly as majestic, merely a humble caster rocking out with you here, as is, Captain A, despite majestic appearances. But I'll tell you this. We've been casting for a while, Captain A, and the thing is, we saw this individual. This is why y'all keep watching the stream. We saw this individual before. Roblox God 7874, Splat Agent in the game. We saw him going up against some pretty stiff opposition, but still winning by a score of 3-0, and now is facing off against Jumbo Turtle for a spot in regionals. It's going to be a tough affair, but can Roblox God finish what he started?
Was Roblox God another pit player? I'm trying to recall, the bouts from earlier. And
could very well. I think so, actually.
I think they were the pit that went against the Sonic, like in one of our first games. I want to say, and again, I'm trying to. We did a lot of Smash today. We covered a lot of games, a lot of bouts. So again, I'm trying to go back in my recollection. And Roblox God, for some reason that pit is resonating. I feel like they were one of the pit players that had made it through today. But now they're going to get ready to go up against Jumbo Turtle, and I'm going to be interested in that, because if they're anybody other than Bowser, then it's a wasted opportunity.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, you can see Bowser. Well, Bowser's just so excellent at what they do, and Pit is very well rounded. Don't get me wrong, but you can do a lot of things with Pit, but they don't necessarily do anything in a very excellent way or better than anyone else necessarily. This is why probably you don't see a whole lot of Pit at super high level play. But then again, maybe a little bit of a pit renaissance coming up from this younger generation, because we're seeing a lot of pits in the state of North Carolina, and a lot of them are proving to be quite potent at what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you put the time and effort. I mean, clearly all the Pit players that we have seen today, even though Pit's not my favorite character, we have established this, the players simply can't be denied. At the end of the day, it's not the character, it's the player who is playing them. We've made this point. And I think that the players who are using Pit, much like a human from last match, is, they can't be denied. And you know what? I think we were right. It was Roblox Turtle on that pit earlier to take on the Sonic, but now they have to take on a fellow Swordy. They have to take on Marth, the OG Fire Emblem Swordy themselves. And let's see how they perform here on Final Destination with platforms.
Yeah, you're talking about another. Goodness gracious, why do people do this? But it's you have a battlefield, guys. But Roblox God, either way, rocking out with the Dark Pit, and you can see that there is a advantage to be had here against Jumbo Turtle necessarily, but also, man, you are so quick when you're Marth. You have that blade, and it moves so fast, and you can just slice and dice your way through whatever defenses Dark Pit is able to bring up. That's a re-grab. You don't get anything for free off of that, and Roblox God is going to need to learn that, and quickly, as Jumbo Turtle was able to utilize that down tilt and eventually finish it off with the forward air to draw first blood in this best-of-5 clip.
Oh yeah, right now you got Marth showing this young blood how it's done, okay? Pit, you might want to hold on just a second. You got someone who knows how to swing the heavy sword, and right now they are doing some damage, as already they managed to lap Roblox God in the damage percentage. But if I'm not mistaken, I mean, Roblox God has already qualified for regionals off of the first matchup that they won earlier today. So again, maybe they're taking it easy just a little bit here on the Marth.
We're going to have to get confirmation on that to be sure, but it's a down air that sent Pit almost to the depths below, but well recovered by Roblox God, not giving up below the ledge and hanging on for dear life at 153, now 164%, as Jumbo Turtle smelling blood in the water trying to get the second stock off, but Roblox God going to try to make themselves scarce at the ledge, though can't do that for long, especially in the face of that dancing blade.
Absolutely not. Not to mention, the forward and backward airs coming from Marth, they just hit so hard. And that's what is really, getting the knockback onto Pit. But, much like, not every other sortie, but much like most sorties from Fire Emblem, Marth's recovery is not that great. So if you get Marth below the stage, chances are they're going to stay there. As now you can see right now, again, Marth is looking to lap this Pit in damage percentage, and they do, and now Marth still not afraid to go off stage, and they're able to take the game, hanging onto the ledge, getting the literal ledge guard to get game number 1. Jumbo Turtle showing us all how to play Marth.
We tech those. This is a public service announcement.
You scared me, I'm not gonna lie. That actually scared me.
We tech those.
I felt that like in my ear all the way to the drum. I felt it. It felt like you were behind me.
Yeah, I mean, how do you think I felt watching people not tech stage? We need to get this through y'all heads. I mean, hey, look, some of the most important lessons are learned outside of the classroom. But when you are getting hit below the stage, if you know a Marth is right underneath you, you know they're going to dolphin slash, man. They have to in order to get back the ledge, and you know that hitbox is going to come out quick. You need to be ready to hit that frame window, because when you see that green light, you know it's techable. You need to be able to react to it. Boom, with that shoulder button or whatever you're using as a shield. Whatever it takes to get yourself back into contention, because when they're grabbing that ledge, if you're able to then get the up B off of a regrab potentially, or force them off the ledge and force a regrab situation themselves, whatever the case may be, it might take a little bit of 4D chess. Don't get me wrong, but it's still doable. Like you can make this happen, and whatever it takes to turn garbage into gold off stage is what you're going to have to implement against Marth if you're Pit, because you're the one with the wings. You're the one with the jumps. You're going to need to think a little bit outside the box in order to do this, because Pit is not an inside the box kind of character.
And not only that, but if you're going up against a character that you really doesn't have a lot of ranged abilities, that reflector shield just kind of doesn't work the same amount of magic. And, that was kind of evident in one of the previous matchups with a human going up against, a Kid Link who changed to the Joker. Again, we saw that they started to struggle a lot against that Joker more than they were against the Kid Link. And honestly, I think if that Kid Link, if CJ had switched up, in the very beginning and started out with Joker rather than going for the Kid Link against Pit, I think they would have had a better showing in that series. But again, when we're talking about this player, this Pit, who and again, we have to confirm whether or not has already qualified. Roblox, again, they did phenomenally earlier, and they were able to win their series. But again, they're going up against Marth, and Marth, from my knowledge, has like no ranged abilities, little to none if there are any. They're not used a lot. So regardless, again, that one essential ability that we see used from Pit, which is the reflector shield, all of a sudden it doesn't really have many uses against a player like Marth.
And it should be noted as well that we have another match coming up through here in Charlotte in Group G play, Airdope versus the Raz. I believe that we are waiting on both of them. The whole thing being that we're waiting on them, but we're doing this so that we can get into games faster. So, guys, if we could hurry this up, right?
I don't know. I'm vibing right now. I'm enjoying myself. I like this a little amount of time. As a matter of fact, when we're in the caster booth, all of a sudden it becomes the Stu and Etsoka show. And I like it because we get to banter a little bit. We get to talk about Smash, and we get to have a little bit of fun. So, with that being said, I think we're going to stay with the H group here. I think we're going to watch Roblox and Jumbo Turtle run it back. And you know what? I'm starting to think that maybe Jumbo Turtle, I think they are doing well, but I'm still disappointed that they're not on the King Koopa. Your name is Jumbo Turtle, and you're not playing the one character that is literally a Jumbo Turtle.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, but then again, I don't think that the Marth is necessarily suffering either. No, so I don't.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we are, in fact, going to get the Raz going up against Airdope. And, Airdope playing Nest. That is quite fitting.
Jumbo Turtle is trolling me now. There's no way they're not watching the stream and be like, oh, he wants a Bowser? I know. Let me pick a Mario. Let me pick the exact opposites of Bowser, of Jumbo Turtle,
Actually, though,
and pick
yeah,
and
the
pick
the
Mario.
inverse.
I 100%. I feel like I have been trolled.
And you were, which is why I find it so funny. PK Flash was almost hitting. I don't know how that happened, but we got this Ness, and we have seen some pretty decent Ness play prior. That Yo-Yo is going to send Mario over to the Blast Zone, and the tactical crouches to follow it up. The Raz is going to respond in kind with an up smash just to tack on a little bit more damage. And Air Dope is going to have to get back down to the stage eventually. The Raz counting on that, and a charged F smash is what awaits him.
Okay, you see, I knew Jumbo Turtle wouldn't do me dirty like that. This is the Raz, okay? We're going into Group G. We are going to get the match that we were supposed to get, Air Dope versus the Raz. And, you know, right now it's 2-stock to 2-stock, and that's exactly how I expect a Ness and Mario match to go. This one, again, is a legacy matchup. And you know what? These two have been battling it out for years. You know what? Even it's gone decades at this point that these two have been battling it out in Smash. So again, wouldn't expect it to go any other way than all the way down to the wire.
Oh, beautifully caught. Air Dope floating right into the range of Mario's F Smash yet again, and is going to be taking that stock off of him. It will the Raz, who's again doing a very good job of making himself scarce from Ness's offense, because Ness can throw out a lot of those buttons at the same time, but doing a good job of picking their positions on the stage and letting Air Dope kind of just float their way into it. And now it's almost a full stock lead here for the Raz, as getting tagged by those up airs into the up B, maximizing the damage potential out of that. As the Raz, oh man, you gotta think he's been studying some Dark Wizzy VODs over the past couple of months. This is some pretty clinical stuff.
Oh yeah, Mario's up tilts into up air and then eventually into the up B. That can definitely take you the distance, especially on Pokemon Stadium 2. And it can do the same here on Battlefield as well. And that is where you're going to get a lot of that damage. Is going to be coming from those up tilts to up air, eventually to the up B combos. So yeah, don't be surprised if you see a lot of those coming from the Mario. As we continue on here, as you can see, Mario still holding on to their second stock with 144% damage. Ooh.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of time before you tag him. Be gone, evil spirit. The Raz exercising Battlefield. Throw some salt on the ground as well. We're going to go 1-0 in favor of that Red Plumber. One of the original Smash Bros. And goodness gracious, as original as they come, the Raz. Some simple gameplay, but hey man, sometimes simple is best.
Oh, absolutely. There is genius in simplicity. You know, when other people, you know, they're scounging and they're looking for ways to go up and over and dodge, dive and dodge. Sometimes you just got to take the fight head on. And that's what we just saw from that Mario pick. Again, fantastic gameplay from start to finish. And you know what? I was thinking that they were going to rely more heavily on, you know, those up tilts into the up air, into the up B, but we really didn't see a lot of that. They kept it horizontal instead of going vertical, which honestly against a Ness, probably a better idea in the long run. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Ness will adapt going forward. Again, you know, not being able to get as vertical as maybe as they would have liked to, but hopefully going to be able to land a lot more of those PK Thunders and PK Fires, because we saw a good bit of them come out, but they were just off the mark.
Yeah, and just wasn't able to implement the offense the way that they would have liked. But again, I feel like that comes down to Raz just being better at positioning than Air Dope was. Because in theory, yeah, Ness can make Mario's life a living hell, especially when you're able to get those carry combos across the stage through the air. You're doing pretty good at placing Mario where you want to go with those hitboxes. But if you're able to stall out Mario's momentum with the PK Fires, or at the very least throw enough PK Fires until you're able to get him jumping, well, that's all well and good if your feet are on the ground. But if Mario has you above him, that's trouble. Oh my god. PK Flash into the up air. Sometimes I was talking about simple is best, but goodness gracious, man. When you're cooking, sometimes you got to add a little sauce.
Oh, absolutely. And, that's why I was worried about Mario getting a little vertical there, because I know Ness likes to go vertical too. And as soon as Mario pulls it out, what do you expect? Ness gives them a taste of their own medicine. How you like that? Now, you can see Mario once again on the receiving end of a little bit of damage here, both at 2 stock apiece. Ness now getting juggled there with the up tilts, but Mario dropped the combo, and now Ness able to recover.
Yeah, and it's going to get parried with their attacks, and you can't be throwing those things out right away because the Raz has clearly adapted to the timing of your stuff. You can only be so overwhelming for so long. Air Dope wisely running off the platform, avoiding the throws of that up smash, as the Raz is again going to try to reset, but throwing a lot of big, heavy hits. And I understand that Ness is at triple digits. You don't necessarily want to be fishing for stuff either, because that's how you lose stage advantage and then falling victim to that yo-yo.
Oh yeah, the yo-yo is crucial. Again, fantastic way to finish off that second stock from the Raz, but now you can see Air Dope gonna be on the receiving end of those Doc Martens. Again, those kicks are hitting as another up tilt does land. Not enough to confirm, but still 140% damage going into the forward smash will be enough to take the second stock, and now we are back even at 1 stock apiece.
This is why you tech on stage, kids, because otherwise you are rolling straight into an F smash. And again, this is the Raz realizing what he needs to do in order to position himself at a superior angle. As we're going to get a little bit of lag, I call it dramatic slow-mo, because the Raz again is doing enough to make this interesting, as we're going to get more of the up tilts. Not a whole lot Air Dope can do about it unless you're going to try to SDI out, but the Raz is doing enough to maximize the damage. And again, you're talking about a character that's as execution heavy as Mario. You need to be nothing short of perfect, especially in a situation like this.
And you saw they went to go and try and get that PK Thunder again, but they weren't able to chase down Mario. But look at this. Look at the damage percentage. My goodness, 133%. That yo-yo, again, could very well be the end-all be-all for the Raz. Meanwhile, Air Dope now on the receiving end again of those Doc Martens. You gotta watch out for the down smash, as the elimination animation did trigger, but somehow Ness is still on stage.
Again, the red light lies. You do not quit fighting until it's over. That is simply an indicator of, if you do not DI, you will be eliminated. But guess what? You saw no red light there. You simply saw the Raz realizing what the key was. You can only recover with the PK projectile, but if I hit it with the flood, if I redirect it away from you to take away your influence over it, guess what? You have no means to get back to the stage. You have no right to get back to the stage, because frankly, it's my stage, and you have to ask my permission to get back the Raz with authority. A 2-0 victory.
Yeah, I got to tell you.
2-0 lead, I should say. It is best of 5.
This is true. So yeah, we got the 2-0 lead. Not a
I caught myself. I caught myself.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And you know what? Ness caught the power of those Doc Martens. My goodness. Again, between, the up tilts, the drop kicks, and the down smash at the end, my goodness, them Doc Martens were stomping. I mean, my goodness. As we get ready now to head into game 3, what possibly could be the last in this series to determine who is going to go to the regional land. The Raz only 1 win away from punching their ticket.
And now it's a question of, what can Air Dope do in order to mitigate the offensive capabilities of the Raz? Well, one solution is to throw out some offense of your own. And it's not like Air Dope has been exactly helpless either. Like, we've seen some pretty good stuff from Air Dope, but just has not really been able to administer the coup de grace as consistently as perhaps we would have liked. Not been able to land any hits with that home run bat. It's really gotten more off of PK Flash, strangely enough, than anything in terms of in terms of down tilts or F tilts.
Yeah, and as much as I love the home run bat, as iconic as the crack of the bat is in Smash, it's just too much to try and land. The yo-yo, again, appears to be much more efficient for Ness in order to really get a lot of this heavy damage, and of course the knockback potential as well, as now it will be Mario to use the Fire Fist to get that first stock off of Air Dope and the revenge stock from the yo-yo in kind.
And yeah, as if we needed to be reminded of Smash 4 anymore. Ness, Mario, and Battlefield with 2 stocks. But here we are, carrying them over to the other side of the blast zone. We don't have the ladder shenanigans as we do to the prior iteration of Smash, but that doesn't mean they're completely gone, as Mario is more than happy to demonstrate.
Absolutely. And now back center stage we go. The damage percentage, however, in the favor of Mario, as now you see Ness with 100%. They throw out the PK Thunder, but not to recover. That was, I don't even know what that call. It wasn't even risky. That was just maybe a misstep, a whoops-a-daisy, you know, maybe?
Yeah, an oopsie doops, as it were.
But an oopsie doops.
Yeah, you just might as well throw that out. It's a, I believe the gamer term is oopsie doops, but Air Dope is going to catch him. The Raz trying to get cute with air stalling with Cape, and guess what Air Dope does? Throws out the PK Flash. My man read that one patch ago. That was nutty from Air Dope, and now we're at 1 stock apiece. Really should not be getting the mileage off of PK Flash that he is, but somehow Air Dope is surviving.
Yep, and take a look at this. We are all just about square here in damage percentages on the last stock. And right now, the Raz trying to apply as much damage as possible, going back to the center stage as the PK Fire not able to land, and now just trying to find the opening with the yo-yo is able to connect to try and even the odds here, as once again the Doc Martens are coming out. And now how about a nice glove to the face from Mario in order to put Ness beyond 100%. We have seen this earlier. The edge guard for Mario is successful with the Fire Fist, and that will just about do it. The Raz will take the series 3-0.
The Raz putting on the Ritz, and with some solid gameplay, with expert positioning, takes it 3-0. And it has to be said, Air Dope did not play poorly enough to necessarily deserve a 3-0, but he also didn't play well enough to deserve a win in any of those games. It was better fundamental gameplay all around from the Raz, especially in terms of positioning, getting himself out of those combos, making sure that he wasn't getting tilted, making sure that he wasn't falling victim to any of the pursuing aerial attacks. This was really good stuff from the Raz, especially on the defensive side of things, and of course, seeing how well you can play with Mario with those up tilts, being able to hit a relatively small target that can be tagged, pretty hard considering it's light and it's floaty. Like this is red meat for Mario if you think about it in terms of the offensive stuff, but you need to make no mistakes about it, and the Raz did just that. And you want to see how good the positioning was, the difference in where it came about. It was the fact that he was able to catch the landing so consistently with just raw F smash. Like he's saying, I know exactly where you're going to go. I know that you want to get back to ledge. I know that you want to drift towards relative safety. Maybe you're even trying to get back out so that you can jump up and get a regrab. I'm not going to let you do that. I'm throwing that hitbox out there because I know exactly where you're going to go, and I know where you're going afterwards, and that's the blast zone.
Oh, absolutely. And, again, we were talking about that Mario just really being able to find the spacing there against Ness. And you have even mentioned it earlier, is that, the Ness did not perform bad by any means. Honestly, they put up one heck of a fight. I mean, Air Dope, let's just say that the score line at the end of the day does not do the fight justice, because they definitely made that Mario sweat a little bit. I mean, they 100% had to get the Raz to really play at the top of their game in order to solidify a lot of those stocks and to solidify the wins. When you look at it stock for stock, it was actually a lot closer than, say, that the series score line really portrayed. But now finally, I think Roblox God, or Jumbo Turtle has heard the stream. They heard me, they heard my voice, and they have switched to the one and only Jumbo Turtle. They have brought Browser out to play, and when we thought they were trolling me earlier, they are not. Jumbo Turtle, thank you so much. We now get to see the Bowser taking on Pit.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. You do have an awful big target for Roblox God to hit. Not really sure what necessitated the switch off of Marth, though I do think maybe the stage pick of Smashville could have something to do with it. I'm not sure. Maybe just anticipating that Roblox God is going to want to step into the octagon on one of the smaller stages, all things considered, with a platform that you can take advantage of if you're Pit, certainly with those jumping nairs or up air fishing ideas on a character like Marth that would have been anticipated. But Jumbo Turtle right now is presenting an awful big target that I don't think Roblox God is minding all that much in terms of being able to tag up.
Well, meanwhile, you can see Bowser back on the edge guard again, looking to try and solidify that first stock. Does take a little bit of damage there, looking to find an opening, but no, Roblox God, again, taking advantage of that big target that is Bowser with 150% damage. I am honestly surprised that they're still on this first stock. Pit not known for being able to really take that much damage, and I gotta tell you, they, once again, are performing really well.
3 successive air dodges into neutral B. Welcome to VESL, folks. No, this is absolutely craziness, and Roblox God is doing really well in order to maintain a lead. But again, just taking advantage of the fact that Bowser's an awful big target to hit. And you're seeing the fares hit just a little bit more generously. You saw the down tilt hit below ledge, just being able to reach out that sword and poke away at it. It's Jumbo Turtle is having a tough time off of the stage, but you really do have to start throwing out those crazy ignorant hitboxes. I mean, even standing up B with the Whirling Fortress, it's good enough to catch landings every now and then. You might as well utilize that because it's either that or you're going to platform if you're Pit and you know that it's not safe. And just like that, if you want to try to side B above the stage, you're getting the drop kick. There's no two ways about it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It ain't going to end well.
Yeah, and and that's the thing about Bowser, and we talked about this at length, that longevity, that the Bowser can eat a lot more damage than Pit can. So even though Pit, for a moment, looks like they're having the lead, they're going to distance and they are playing well. That Bowser, all they need is just one solid opening, and they can literally turn the match on its head.
And now it's going to be the forward air in pursuit. Roblox God is going to have to utilize those shields, and you got to think Jumbo Turtle getting them in the habit of shielding could be to the advantage of Jumbo Turtle because you're going to want to get away from that. If you're Bowser, your job is to put the fear of God into your opponent, and you're at 1 stock apiece. You're in danger of going down 2-0. Jumbo Turtle is going to need that, but oh my goodness gracious, you better start believing in the underworld because you're in it. Jumbo Turtle going to take it to 2-0.
Yeah, and you know what? You're asking what facilitated the change. Why would they go off of Marth and go to Bowser after having such a successful win to now a little bit more of a risky win there? It was looking a little bit dangerous. You know why? It's because it's either the production or maybe they saw the stream, but I think somehow the words of Captain made it to Jumbo Turtle, and they wanted to do right by me. I appreciate you, Jumbo Turtle. We are now homies. We are friends. I appreciate you. Continue to do well.
You know what? Fair enough. And I definitely respect that. Jumbo Turtle has been fighting for respect this entire time and now could be very well on the verge of receiving it in abundance and in the form of a spot in qualifiers at the Charlotte Regional. So if you're Roblox God, you have to make some adjustments and fast because again, it's not like you're playing poorly. But these are the deficiencies of Pit, as we're going to see the switch back to Dark Pit. Again, very minute differences between the two. But you are having to work very, very hard to outdo the damage that Bowser is able to do to you in one interaction. Because you see that's just your F tilt that you're getting tagged by, and it's doing 16% to you. So, what do you think your jabs are going to do? Well, your jab's going to do nothing, first of all, because Bowser has Tough Guy. You cannot rapid jab on him. He's just going to disregard that and knock your brains out. So you have to go blow for blow, but you don't have the muscle to do that. So how else do you do it? Again, see, rapid jab is not going to work. He's able to jump right out and hit you with the F smash because you're still in that animation. Roblox God needs to break those habits. He's going to need to think outside the box here.
Yeah, but at the same time, again, we have yet to get confirmation, but I'm pretty sure because Roblox God won their match earlier, they qualled. So again, they might not be as worried about it as normally if they would be had their regional hopes been on the line. But with that being said, if this is a potential matchup that you're going to face at the regional, yeah, you would better start fixing those mistakes now before they become a real problem at LAN.
Yeah, and even then, you don't want to be on loser's side or anything like that. If this affects seeding, you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to have to deal with anything that could be a problem later on. And if you're losing to a heavy like this, as Pit, like I understand, Bowser gets a lot. Bowser can effectively outspace you with forward air. But then again, if you're losing advantage to Bowser, if you're not able to confirm, if you're not able to combo, that is on you, and you need to improve that because these individual tiki tack hits are good. Death by 1,000 cuts is a viable strategy, but only for so long and not in the face of something that can hit you like a semi, like the King Koopa.
Absolutely. They're continuing to press on here, and they're looking to end the series here and now. They don't want to elongate this matchup any longer than they have to, as the side B lands again off of the grapple onto the platform, and now Pit looking at 93 damage percentile, and I guess Jumbo Turtle, yeah, they had some wide-eyed hopes, and much like the King Koopa on that second stock, they just fell to the abyss.
What in the world was that? It's going for the up air and instead gets the down B. You're gonna miss ledge, and again, the downside of that recovery, it does not snap ledge right away from a certain distance. Jumbo Turtle takes full advantage. If you want to serve me something on a silver platter, boy, I will eat that all night long.
My goodness, what a way to end it too. I mean, that was some great gameplay, especially considering that they started out on a Marth and they won. Normally it's on the other side that unfortunately came up short in the first round that will try and make a switch, make a change so that way they can counter the character that they had just went down to. But no, it was the winner that changed. So again, I was not expecting that. However, I was expecting from the beginning that someone named Jumbo Turtle would be playing the Bowser, and luckily I was right for once throughout actually I think that was the one time I was right throughout the entire day. So again, yay, we get to end on a strong note. But with that being said, again, huge congratulations to everybody that came through and everybody that qualified today. And honestly, I can't wait to see how things are going to shape up for the regionals and of course for our remaining matches. As we have said, at the beginning of the production today, that the further we go along in this league and the further along we go into the playoffs, the better the matches are going to be.
Exactly. It's going to be nutty. And I cannot wait to see how all this plays out. And you also have the potential for even more because there are some games that haven't been played yet. So, with congratulations to everyone who was able to qualify for Charlotte and Greensboro here today. We also have a few qualificants from out of Wilmington, if my understanding is correct. Those who weren't able to qualify today, they're going to be able to play tomorrow on VESL GG. That's the main channel. So definitely, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, all that good stuff. And yeah, hit that purple heart if you're so inclined as well. So yeah, if they haven't played already, they will tomorrow over on VESL GG. So it was good stuff. Captain at Socket, it was a pleasure commentating with you. We saw some really high quality Smash here, and I gotta think, future of Smash is looking bright here in North Carolina.
Oh, it most certainly is. And, like you had mentioned earlier, we aren't even really finished. Again, we had some matches that didn't get to play out today, so we will be back tomorrow. I do believe for the same time. So be sure to make sure that you come back to watch the conclusion of these matches so that way we know what to expect going into the regional land. But for now, this has been, of course, a fantastic day for Smash. And once again, for all of us here at VESL, I am Captain Atsuka, joined alongside Stu the announcer, and of course, cannot make any of this happen with the main person behind the scenes, Reed Sloth, holding it down for production, doing the actual hard work and making this production possible. Again, big shout out to them as well. And finally, a big congratulations once again to all of our qualifying players. So with all that ado, we will be seeing you tomorrow. Please be sure to come in again to see some more North Carolina Smash right here on VESL.
Happy smashing, everyone.